All right, welcome to another episode of the Dark Figures Podcast. I am your co-host, Ryan. This is Robert. Robert, say hi.
Hi, Robert. I forgot my glasses. Hold on.
Oh, you forgot the
I'm
glasses.
not ready. I wasn't camera ready.
Not ready. Well, welcome back. I just want to welcome everybody who's tuning in. Again, we are live streaming currently on 3 different platforms now.
Yeah.
We've got the Facebook Live going up and running. So for those of you who like to watch on Facebook Live, we are there.
Thank you, Mark.
We also have been on the YouTube. So if you're on the YouTube, we're there. And Twitch. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on all the other platforms, Apple Music, Anchor, you name it, we're on it. Follow us on the Instagram, Facebook page, you name it, we are there. Give us a like, a follow, you name it, we are there. So if you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, you know the drill. So thank you guys for being here. Today we've got some special guests.
Very special.
Very special. From the Rock Solid Pressure Show, we've got Jay and Patty in the house.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah,
great to be here, man.
Joining us.
So what's been up, guys?
Nothing. Just same old stuff that we're doing in Reno.
Booking more live events now. Down at El Tour's Cellar Stage on East 4th Street. Here
Yeah,
in
that's
Reno.
like home base.
That's
for
home
you guys,
base.
huh?
Yeah. We think,
yeah.
know it's a cool place.
Yeah.
And it's making a lot of progress.
It's
Thanks to Jay's
I mean,
help there.
well, it's become our home base. You know,
Right.
we started doing shows there in 2019 when we got here. And among the other venues,
Other
like,
places.
we were doing
Yeah.
stuff at BSB. We put Black
Right.
Flag. Then we're doing stuff at Jubs.
Right.
And we were just all over the place trying to find like the home. And once we did a show at Altours, we were like, man, this
Well, you
is
know
great.
what, too?
Yeah.
The
You know,
sound
so-
engineer,
yeah.
Dennis, he came out to all our secret shows at the Portal when the
yeah.
pandemic
Oh, right,
hit.
yeah.
You know, he was there right along with everybody, all the musicians who needed a place to play and let
Yeah.
out their
Yeah. So
angst from the pandemic.
Yeah, it was
So
a natural-
That really hindered
it
everybody.
was a natural progression for us to stay there for a
Right.
while. Altours, we got a lot of stuff coming there now. This week we got Sponge coming in.
Yeah, Sponge.
We got Anvil on the docket now for July. We have Liliac there. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're like a young
They're
band.
internet sensation.
They're like
of
internet
young
sensations.
Is it really?
Oh
who
yeah,
do
yeah.
like
They're huge.
kind of
covers
music?
of Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not all covers. They do their own thing, but they're younger. They're younger
I don't
kids,
know
and
if
they're
they're
like
sisters
and they're
or
like
what
they're-
they are.
in their 20s. And
Is it like baby metal?
no, nothing like that.
No.
They got this powerhouse girl singer,
Great singer.
and like everybody from like Sabbath to all. Ozzy, all
the
complimented.
In fact, on
Oh,
my
really?
job,
She's jamming with them, singing with them now on videos.
Right.
Because she's done all that Sabbath stuff and the Priest stuff.
Right.
And she was just like belting it out.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, she's hooked up with all these rock stars, and they're the biggest band in the country right
Yeah,
now.
see,
well, I
that's all.
tell you,
Yeah.
on my job, it's weird. I mentioned to a couple forklift drivers, Liliac. I'm listening to them right now.
Really? Yeah.
Badass singer. I think
Yeah.
they were on America's Got Talent a couple years
they
ago.
were on America's
Okay.
Got Talent.
They were underage.
that
and-
launched them.
But they are
Yeah.
internet sensation.
Yeah, but a lot of people we see coming to shows, like the younger ones.
Yeah.
We mention like, hey, you had Liliac comes on. Go, oh man.
Right.
They go Liliac, and and I go, well, that's a good booking.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
just
it
Let
is.
you know.
yeah, right.
In the mix of, we also do local bands and we make it festivals. As
Yeah.
you know, your bands
Oh,
have
yeah,
played with us many times.
Yeah, I mean,
best
just
shows,
to
really.
let everybody know, we're friends with these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
We've been
Yeah.
friends with
They
these guys
rule.
since we got here.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, really, the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
people we met.
We had Robert on our show.
Yeah.
On the Rock Solid
Yeah.
Pressure
Jason
show.
Bittner came
Jason
on,
Bittner,
right?
yeah, we did the interview
Uh,
with Jason Bittner.
yeah,
that
he-
was awesome.
That was a great show. I
Yeah,
listened in
he's
on that,
been
too.
he's been on our show a million times. Like we have regulars. We don't do that many interviews now because we're really so busy. And
Right.
we came to Reno decompressed from that crazy stuff for a while. But I mean, we've had regular, like John Five used to come on every
Yeah.
year, and we got Anvil and Wayne Static was a regular.
Yeah.
God rest him wherever the
yeah,
hell he's
oh,
at.
yeah.
We've
R.I.P.
had all sorts of people on the show.
Bill Ward
Come
from
on.
Sabbath was one of our earliest regulars
Ooh.
back in 2002.
Yes.
I got to hook up with him from Sony Records when I
Yeah.
worked there. But
Have you heard of
Yeah.
the Great Cat? out of New York. The
Yes,
great,
the guitar player?
The guitar player.
Dude.
Holy man. That interview scared the hell out of Jay.
No, I sparred with her because.
Oh my
She's.
God.
You did an interview with her?
Yes.
Oh, I wish I could have brought it. It's one of our most famous because I was yelling at her.
Well,
back
she's
and
like
forth.
that. She's one of those. Like she's
Over the
no,
top.
over
Robert,
the top.
Robert,
Seriously.
she's a man hater.
Oh, is she?
I mean,
really?
and nothing against the
You
LGBTQ
can't tell by what she
or
wears
nothing like
on
that.
stage.
You know, but she's a man hater.
Yeah.
She hates men.
She's
so,
a man eater.
She's a
ripped
man
him to
eater.
shreds.
And believe me, she ate me alive and spit out the bone.
You guys
But-
haven't seen. You would see.
But I realized that I had to get into a sparring match with her to save my manhood. I'm from Jersey.
What did she do? What song
I
did
wish
she
I
do?
could-
here.
I wish I could.
Oh, that's not Jersey.
That interview.
That's Boston.
Bring out the jersey.
I wasn't going to just sit back and take it.
Right.
So I had to come back with her. And you know what's funny? We became great friends.
Yeah.
After,
Say hi.
Oh, I'm
after
sure
that.
she. Yeah, I'm sure she
You know what I
appreciated
mean?
that.
Because-
She probably doesn't
Right,
get that all the
it's
time.
respect.
You know, hey, I believe,
didn't
I,
cower.
I
Yeah.
sort of believe her spiel, but in a way, I kind of think.
I told Scott the same thing. I was
you know,
like,
I
I
really,
believe her.
you know, I
Like,
really don't know. And it's great, Kat, if you're listening, I love you to death. Don't
Yeah.
kill me or whip me.
What did she shred
You
to?
know,
Wasn't
or-
it a
Or
Beethoven
pull my
She did a
weenie
Beethoven
off or
piece.
whatever.
Yeah,
It was
something like that.
Beethoven or Mozart. She was doing a piece
Mozart?
on.
Yeah,
She shred.
Oh no, it's a Fifth Symphony. I think it was.
Yeah, her point was to bring the classical music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was
Yeah.
she was Juilliard's trained.
Yeah.
She was
yeah,
Juilliard,
that
right.
makes sense.
And she just transpired all that to heavy metal guitar.
No kidding.
And you know, it's just a shred fest like nothing you've ever heard. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like extreme death
Yeah.
metal with her just
Yeah,
screaming.
dude, it's-
Yeah.
And
It's just
I'm gonna have
like
to give me a
I'm
listen.
glad you
you
heard
have to
her.
It's
listen.
ju-
You
it's
see her
just-
get up
listen.
too. I was like, this. It's. I'm not.
There's
I
not-
don't want to say some shit.
I mean, you know,
you'll see it.
But you know, all the extreme
I'm like,
and the death metal fans, and I love death
X-rated.
metal.
Yeah.
and Bonnie loves death. I mean, you're gonna dig that,
Right.
You know, because she's just a void of melody because
Yeah.
it's just like just
Yeah,
do the
she's
whole thing.
super aggressive. Yeah.
But the
Right.
guitar is just
Yeah.
like nonstop shredding to where it
kidding.
almost gives you a
yeah,
heart
she's
attack.
like Ingve, dude, on like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a G string
go.
and a. And she's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
Fellas,
Bill Ward, he was
yeah.
ever so polite. We've had a lot of great interviews, you know, celebrating 20 years on the air. So we had, Jay will kill me for this. Our very first interview was Paul Williams. Not
Correct.
in the metal world.
Correct.
You
No,
know
it
who
was like,
Paul
uh,
Williams is?
Well,
Smokey
no,
and the Bandit.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, he was like an
Rainbow
actor.
Connection.
Oh, yeah.
He was like
Kid would know.
Yeah. Right.
he was like he was
are.
like you know, a songwriter in the 70s
Yeah.
Right.
that wrote all the songs for like
All the
Three Dog
movies.
Night and
Yeah.
all the movies. And
right.
he was like
Yeah.
a movie star with Burt Reynolds and
Lyricist.
stuff.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
And he was like the very first interview
Little Paul.
we did together because I was a journalist before that and I
Yeah.
interviewed hundreds of bands, but to do it on radio,
Yeah.
he was the first one. And at that time, I was doing a lot of industrial stuff in bands, so I have my sampling
yeah, that's
station.
right.
Like
So,
Nine Inch Nails. and like,
so what I wanted to do, man, I wanted to transform one of his classic songs into like heavy industrial music
yeah.
on my sampling
Okay.
station.
Was it just
Yeah, that's-
another
it
love
was,
song?
it was just
What
an
was it?
old-fashioned love song. He
Just-
wrote that.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys even know that, but
No.
just an old.
It's
an old
just
song
an old
from the 70s.
fashioned love song.
But he
Yeah.
wrote it for
Yeah.
Three Dog Night or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went back in the archives. I got the song. And I like learned it on the.
Oh, really?
On the and I made it into this industrial metal thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
With a sampling station, you don't even need a band.
Right,
yeah,
You-
yeah.
You can just sample.
It's
all
all
Yeah.
right there.
and
Play.
Yeah, you just hit one guitar and I like, brand,
Right,
you
yeah.
like change it into
Yeah.
a million things.
Yeah.
So I did it and I got him to sing it on it, and it kind of like made
Put
history.
him at ease.
It was
Yeah.
a historic thing, and I mean the dude was just so cool.
Oh, yeah, that would've been
I
awesome.
mean, he was just so cool.
Yeah.
And I said, let's do it, and we'll. You know, I'll do some yells, screams in the background,
Yeah.
and you do the song like the way, and he did it. It was cool.
You
know?
still have that?
And
I know. Tell
do-
me you got
no,
that,
We
dude.
do have it somewhere in the archive.
Oh, you need
See,
to
a lot
pull
of
that thing
stuff,
out, dude.
See, a lot of that stuff was under license for the FM radio
Oh,
station.
so yeah.
So
But you could show us.
Yeah, I know. Okay. There was a lot of stuff that it goes to a certain point where we can't
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we'll bring it
and
out.
I think
Yeah.
the second interview that we did was with Bill Ward from Sabbath.
Right.
Because, I'm like the ultimate
Was that in
Sabbath
2002
fan.
that you guys said?
And
What?
It was 2002 you guys said, right?
Yeah.
Was that-
2002.
Yeah.
And Bill came on, then he became a regular every year, but
Because he was back doing Black Sabbath, because I saw him in 2001 at Ozfest.
correct.
Yeah,
They were just
yeah.
getting.
They were just getting done with it.
They were just getting their first reunion together for that.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know what
So
I mean?
because I saw him on
And then
stage.
Ozzy got into this four-wheel accident.
Oh,
And
that's
he
right.
damaged
Almost
his
died.
ring.
remember that.
And
That's
then
right.
and then everything was off for a few years.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, with him.
Yeah.
So
He did it on purpose.
So I was at the time when all this went down in 2002, I was working for Sony Records in the A&R department.
Yeah.
And Bill was out of work. And I tried to get him some gigs on, because that's what I did. I found musicians to put into bands playing
Oh, so
for
like-
albums that made a Grammy.
Oh, so studio work. You're giving him
Yeah,
some
studio work.
studio work.
Yeah,
So
They all need work.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hooked him up with some of that, and we became great friends.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it on the air. So he was like our first one. Then everybody just started coming on the show.
Stephen
Right, yeah.
Bishop.
Do you get
What
Bill
did
Word-
Stephen
yeah,
Bishop
yeah,
do? Stephen Bishop. What was that hit song?
Oh no, that was a guy in Animal House or something.
no,
The movie?
Stephen Bishop.
He was playing a song, or like I gave my love, and John Belushi got the
And he-
guitar.
yeah, he
and
smashed
it against the wall.
over.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
yeah,
that
that was
was Stephen
Stephen
Bishop.
Oh,
So we
really?
had the interview.
but his
Oh,
song, he had a famous.
See, because this is before. Because we were on an actual station before we actually moved to Florida and found the dungeon. It became like a horror.
Right, that was 2002. You guys get to
2002.
went to
We
Florida.
weren't like
we
that
went to
at all.
Florida in 04.
So we were just
up in
interviewing
Connecticut.
We were
Oh,
just,
yeah, all right. You had
Yeah.
Connecticut
Yeah.
in 2002,
Two.
and then you went to Florida in
Yeah.
2004. That's right.
yeah. So that's when, because a lot of the horror stars were coming on, like Bill Mosley. who
I wanted to
love.
talk to you about it, because I was telling these guys, I was like,
and the first time I had Bill Mosley comes on our show every year.
Linnea-
I know.
Even up to
Linnea
now.
Quigley.
I talked to you about it. I was like, I'm huge for it.
but after that, and Patty grew up with Sherry Moon in
We had the
Connecticut.
same
So we
friends,
had
circle
Right.
of friends.
So we had Sherry Moon on, and then we have Rob
that broke
Zombie.
the ice with her, trying to get her for an interview.
Yeah, yeah.
Sherry, I knew you then.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and everything became kind of dark because what we got to Florida, we became syndicated on FM.
Right.
So we had a full production crew, and we had a big studio, and it was kind of like slanted down, and it went into, so we called it the dungeon.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
that's
so
where
that's where it just kept, and you guys kept.
and we went like half the show was horror, and at that time, the whole download thing wasn't that big, so record companies were sending us just CDs, and
After CD,
the movie
yeah.
companies were sending us DVDs of all
Really?
their
That
newest
would've been
movies.
great.
So we were giving them
Oh
away
my
on the
God.
air.
I love
Yeah,
that for
that's
so it
cool.
became like half horror and half just a regular show, just playing new music and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, we haven't fully lost the horror aspect on Rock Solid Pressure, but it's more of like a comedy thing. With,
Yeah.
With
Right.
the rack and everything, I mean, it's
Yeah,
for metalheads.
Put 'em on the rack.
And blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like what any Cannibal Corpse fan would want to expect.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like
That'll draw me.
Yeah. I mean,
real.
we
Yeah.
still have that aspect
Yeah.
with us, but basically, Rock Solid Pressure Show is all new music and
Yeah.
sneak peeks from albums coming up on big labels that
Yeah.
were allowed to give you a sneak peek of the album.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always all new music.
Yeah.
And it's always, one day will be extremely heavy, and the next episode it might be more traditional type metal. And at the end of the show, usually all the time, we do kind of like stoner, doomy stuff.
Psychedelics,
something like that, but a little heavier, just because just for our roots of being a Sabbath fan.
right.
I still want to put some of what we grew up with.
Yeah,
that sound,
in there.
although it's new.
Right, because
Yeah.
that's what makes you guys too, and your
Yeah.
style and your
Right.
personality and everything. That's where you come from.
Yeah.
And you guys got such a rich history of knowing many, many great artists and people that me and him would love to
Oh, my
meet.
gosh, yeah.
You've had that opportunity to meet some of these people.
I've seen the photos.
And when
Yeah.
because you guys started this whole thing back in Connecticut, right?
Yep.
What made you guys move from Connecticut to Florida? Why Florida?
Well, Jay came to Connecticut. I was doing a thing called the Songwriters Network
On FM radio.
on radio, yeah. And his management submitted a CD. We brought him in for an interview. Through his life changes, he stayed. And truthfully, Connecticut, you've got 2 venues.
Yeah,
you got
I've been there.
Webster and
I've been
Hartford
there.
and Toads
There's
and
not a
New
lot to
Haven.
do there.
Right.
And a funny story, though, I got to give a shout out to Dead by Wednesday, Christian Lawrence, Opus, if you're listening, man. He was one of our first bands we had when we became the Rock Solid Pressure Show, a spinoff of Songwriters Network.
Oh, okay.
When Jay guest starred on the show, the ratings went through the roof, and we had a good rapport. So we started bringing bands in.
Yeah.
So Opus, fast forward later years, he just finished a tour with David Ellefson with his former project, and so we kind of kept in touch.
Yeah, Opus.
From then to now.
Opus was in a band called Gargantuan Soul.
Oh, they were great.
They were
That
like
sounds
one of the.
familiar.
They were like one of the biggest metal things.
Yeah, I
in
was like,
town.
I've heard of
And
them
so
before.
he never gave up. But we came to Florida. My parents had died, and there was no life in Connecticut. Everything rolled up fast.
It's cold
so,
or snow.
Well, we came to Florida because we had a job opportunity with O-Rock FM in Orlando.
Oh.
You know, and it made sense for us to move the show to Florida because there was opportunities to get into syndication.
Right.
And rather than just be on just one.
So we
station.
chose Lakeland.
and that's
in
what
between
and
Tampa
that's what
and
happened.
Orlando.
And we
Right,
got
so
got to O-Rock, and the station actually folded and went to a jazz and hip hop format.
Yeah.
But then they fled the state. They got scared with the Y2K stuff, and they moved to Montana.
That was
like a biodome.
That was M4. Patty. That was M4.
Oh, so that was a
I
different
thought it was the
radio.
Yeah, that wasn't. But
I'm old, my memory.
but we were already locked.
Shore in the
But
Polly Shore in the biodome.
but we were
Biodome.
already locked in with FM radio.
Right.
So we just got an agent and syndicated ourselves.
Nice.
And then next
That
thing
was
you know,
probably better than
we're on
doing
like
way better for you guys.
we're coming on like on shows with like Eddie Trunk and Dee Snider.
Right.
And we're on a list of like one of the top 10 best heavy metal shows in the country.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we like and
Yeah, because our show always charted in Arbitron ratings and stuff.
Oh yeah, we killed it with the Arbitron ratings, so it was natural that a bunch of stations picked us up.
Right.
And that
What's the Arbitron ratings? What is that?
that's ratings that you get from FM radio, where you see a sheet of how many listeners you actually have.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So that you get a sheet rather than just like you will see on the internet where you get a bump. Or a lot of listeners.
So that's a different.
You
know
can
what I
tell
mean?
where
So-
they were listening from.
Yeah, these are Arbitron ratings for terrestrial radio.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, right. No, yeah.
And it's all
Mama, it's getting weird
it's
now,
all
bro.
about the Arbitron ratings in that business.
Yeah.
And and that got really to be pressure on me, not so much Patty over the years until
Yeah, because I don't care.
Yeah.
See,
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Just put me on the radio.
when like some of the bigger internet stations wanted to do it, we were like, we can do that too, and the FM, but we couldn't curse. Like
That
with
was
public
tough.
radio.
we couldn't
Right.
be ourselves.
Did
So
we curse
No,
yet?
I think we made it.
We did.
We made it.
Yeah.
First time ever.
I know.
made it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
world record.
Motherfucking shit.
Yeah.
Cunt, fucking bitch.
All
right.
Like
I'm gonna break that
I'm
right
from
now.
New Jersey, so it was
Right.
kind of tough for me not
Oh,
to.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm glad
I
that we made it over the hump.
We did
So
it.
was that the XM? Was it the XM that wouldn't let you curse? Or?
No. Back then. Well, back
FM
then
It was all
radio.
public radio.
Sirius wasn't even around.
Oh,
until,
so
like,
you're still on the
yeah.
public radio then?
Yeah, this is
That's
still
still
public.
yeah. It was that, but then the internet stuff started to pop up.
Yeah.
Right.
With Sirius and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do that because even some of the tracks that we spun had to be censored.
Right.
So we would be
Yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah.
censored versions.
Yep.
So we just wanted to just be ourselves.
Yeah.
Let it
you
be
know,
out there.
We
Let
didn't
you
want
be
to take
you.
sponsors too, like Joe's Garage.
Right,
Nobody
yeah.
we believed in.
Yeah, we argued about that because I was a stickler on who was going to be sponsored on
Yeah.
our show.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I didn't care because it was all new to me.
Yeah.
Then I started figuring out, what if Joe's Garage is ripping somebody
Right.
off?
Right, and then
you heard it from us to go there.
And then,
Right.
You know, so
guilty by association.
Yeah, I became, like, I guess, difficult to work with. Is that what they say in the business?
It's weird because we're
I've heard
not
it.
about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That's why we're always broke. We're not about it.
I you know, wanted just things to be right for the show, and I would only go with stations that would allow us to just screen who they're promoting.
Yeah.
You know, let us know
Yeah.
what's going on. And and you know, it's worked out fine. Now we're in the, just like you guys were in the podcast revolution with the Spotify and all that. You know, and you know, you guys are like really good. You guys kicked off great, man. You know,
appreciate it.
so I
thank
mean,
you.
I'm sure you're probably going to be getting offers soon and stuff. You
Hey,
know,
fingers are crossed.
For kind of,
Mike gave us our first offer.
you know,
He gave me a beer.
I'm sure, you know. I mean, that'll
take it.
That'll
You're
happen.
indebted.
That'll eventually happen for you guys. You know, just keep going. But I just went with the flow, man. Like when Patty first did it, like I was still touring in bands,
Right.
and I went there just to do an interview on my life, and you know, because at that time I did a solo album and it charted on CMJ.
Yeah, right, 'cause
It
you're
was
a
on
musician
it was
first,
on
right?
It was on the Billboard charts and stuff.
What was
And,
the band again?
well, it was just called J-Rock 'cause it was my solo, but I've been in a lot of bands.
Right, yeah, 'cause
metal bands. I
yeah.
was in Metal Maniacs magazine and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But but in the end, I had a management that was in Florida, and they submitted to her station where she was on, and they got in touch through our management, and they were like, "Hey, is there any way you know, you could have them come up and do an interview in Connecticut and stuff? We'll give you this and that." And I'm like, "Great, yeah, we'll do that." A long show like this and your whole history of being a musician,
Right. Oh yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking of radio because I was a journalist,
Right. Yeah.
So I wasn't even thinking. So I was like, "Yeah, it's cool, just like an interview. I've done a million."
You're right.
And we hooked up. And at that time, you know, I was going through a divorce. My head was all fucked up. You know what I mean? And you know, everything was just coming around. I had a lot of pressure. People were dying around me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't know where I was going to go.
Right.
I had just a
Go
van.
to Connecticut.
Right. Yeah.
I had just like my van down by the river.
Right. I got a van
down by the
That's a
river.
song,
You know,
yes.
and you know, all I had in it was like the stuff I could take from, you know, my divorce. But I mean, it was an amicable divorce. It was
Right.
my fault. I was the one that fucked up. I went kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Most musicians, when
They
you
always
guys
do.
when you
Yeah.
guys hit my age, you'll go through that midlife craziness.
I've already done it 2 or
You've
3
already
times
done
already.
it. Good, that's past.
Robert's doing
I'm
it
getting it
right
all out of
now.
my system early.
It'll
You're going
happen.
through it
You
right
know, I
now.
have some regrets, and I went to Connecticut, did that with her, you know, and you know, me and Patty kind of hooked up, you know, because we related on I guess brainwave level, because
Yeah.
everything I
Music.
said she
Yeah.
could rebut right back, and it was kind of like a cool thing. You know, I was just planning on going to L.A. with my van by the river with all my guitars.
Yeah.
That's all I had. I didn't have shit. I rebuilt
Yeah.
my entire life after I had a big DJ business
Yeah.
where I could tour
Yeah.
and have DJs work. You know, I had it cushy through
Yeah.
the 90s.
But
No,
it
you
was
you
cool.
guys are perfect together. By the way,
Thanks.
like when I went on the radio, I was talking to Ryan before this. I was like, dude, they're gonna go in their radio voice, man. Because as soon as we got in there, I was like, you guys went straight into radio, and I was like, oh.
Wow. I don't know.
I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm nervous.
No, that was
Down
cool.
in
was
some
cool,
whiskey.
though.
Great. You had
Because-
some great questions for Jason.
Oh, I was ready. Dude.
It was brilliant.
I was nerve
It
wracking
was
on that.
brilliant.
Dude. Jason Bittner, I had
But the cool
wiki
thing about
page
being
all
in
highlighted.
Connecticut, Jay got to meet all sorts of musicians from up there. The one that stands out the most was Wild Bill Firehands
Oh,
from
yeah,
Massachusetts.
Yeah, he was this
one man
biker.
party army band.
He was
Really?
a
Tell
biker that
you.
he played keyboards and lit his hands on fire.
I was gonna say, did you light
In
his
a-
hands on
in a
fire?
And the whole
Small
keyboard
room,
was
yeah.
on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like awesome. He had like dummies.
I hope he had a sponsor.
Of women that he'd grab and he'd pull them around. and
Mannequins.
It was like the most hilarious, coolest thing I've ever
Holy-
seen.
So he
You know?
tries out for the David Letterman show, and he's in line for auditions.
Yeah.
And you know he's waiting to audition his fire trick and all the instruments he played, and he lights up a cigarette and they tell him, "Sir, there's no smoking."
You're like, I just had my hands on fire.
Sinister laugh. You know? But yeah, all sorts of characters.
They threw him
really?
out. They threw him out.
They threw him out?
Yeah.
I would have put him on, dude.
You
So
know,
Patty-
but we've had the naked cowboy on. I mean,
Did you guys have the naked cowboy on?
not in person though.
Oh,
Damn,
Yeah.
I think I saw him when I was in New York. I was running around New York. I saw him.
that's cool.
No, you'd see.
Or at least it was one of them.
You'd see him.
Yeah.
There might be
who
another. I
knows?
think there's imposters out there, actually.
Oh, probably.
This guy wasn't. This guy
Imposters,
wasn't
that's
built like the
No.
real one.
So here we are in the Wild West.
I
and
know,
it's
yeah,
cool.
the
It's
desert.
So
different.
essentially, she keeps your ass on the straight and narrow.
Yes, yes, Lord.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to tame your ass,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Keep the reins in tight.
we all need them.
Yeah, we all need them.
We all have them, actually.
Yeah.
So, and you guys talked. I mean, I know he's dying to hear more about Bill Moseley because we're huge fans of Rob
Yeah.
Zombie too. I grew up
Oh,
my whole
cool.
life listening to Rob Zombie, White Zombie, you name it.
Me too.
And so,
Yep.
how did you get that? How did you meet Bill Moseley? Was it kind of like one of the same situations where, hey, we got this guy who wants to come on, or would kind of like how you're asked to go on to her radio show, or
And was that like
no.
you?
Or did you meet him
I mean, you guys
outside?
were into that scene, like the
Oh,
horror
yeah, the
movie
horror
thing and
conventions, all
everything.
that
So you guys
stuff.
were already into that.
Yeah,
scene.
I'm a horror movie freak since I was a
same.
little
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
So that was already embedded in me. you
Right.
know? And still to this day, we watch like 2-3 horror movies
Yeah.
a
Oh,
night. We're freaks.
Yeah.
But
that's got to be the coolest thing.
but
to
I
get somebody like that
I
on
sought out Bill Moseley. And that was back in Connecticut.
there. Oh, okay.
I mean, this is
that was
when-
early. Then.
This is
Okay.
when
early.
House of 1,000 Corpses, I think, just dropped.
Yeah, I
so
think
it was around that time, and I was a fan of his from the Texas Chainsaw 2.
Yeah.
For Chop Top, where he's famous for Chop Top.
Yeah.
And we
reached out to his
saw him
agent,
out.
first of
Yeah.
all, back in the days where they didn't have 10 different agents go through
Right.
this hoop or that.
it was one guy?
Who knows
one
if it was
person.
himself, but we reached out to the agent, and he happened to be appearing in New Haven, and so that solidified us. We got the interview, and then we got to get in to talk with him personally there, face to face.
Yeah. And,
So you did that first before you actually did the interview?
Oh
with
no,
the
we
radio?
did
Did
the interview.
first,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then we got to meet him in
Oh,
person.
okay.
And
He
then,
said,
we,
we'll be
and then we
down there.
became great friends.
Right.
He comes on our show every single
That's
year.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
lived in
Even
Connecticut.
we don't do that many interviews now,
Yeah.
because basically I kind of got bored with it because we've interviewed everybody,
Yeah.
and it's just asking the same questions over and
Right.
over again,
Right.
And
Yep.
the first interview's always great, but
Right.
but with Bill Moseley it's different because he's always into different stuff, and he releases
Yeah.
5 movies a year,
Yeah.
so every year talking to him it's always a different conversation. And
Right,
we just
yeah.
had him on a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like
yeah.
musicians where it's like, oh, we'll spend like 5 years on an album. So
No
like,
shit.
Did you
Yeah,
change
right.
strings
Right,
yet?
yeah.
What kind of picks are you using?
But he is a,
They're
he is a
handmade.
musician.
What are you doing?
He is a musician. He has like 6 or 7 albums.
yeah.
out with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Cornbugs.
Yeah, but I'm talking about on the movie side of things, but and then the music side of things. Like movies come out, I feel a little bit more.
Oh yeah, and Bill.
Yeah.
He does every movie
yeah.
he can get
And-
paid
and-
Right,
for.
yeah.
Bill just appeared in a really big one last year, Prisoners of the Ghostland, and we had
I
the
don't know if
director.
you've seen it.
I don't
It's
think
so
I've seen it.
bizarre.
It's with Nicolas
great.
Cage. So
okay.
Bill got in like a really. It was a really
It was a good
big
role
giant
for him.
role for him because he was like he was top billing.
Yeah.
And with
Japan.
Nick Cage.
Yeah.
So we had the director Reza Sixo-Safai.
Rezo Sixo-Safai.
We had him and Bill Moseley
From
on
LA.
talking about the
Great
movie
guy.
because the movie got great raves.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if
And mixed too, because it's sort of like
Oh, yeah,
the guy
yeah,
co-wrote the movie before Mad Max came out, but it's got that Mad Max
Feel.
vibe.
It
Yeah.
does, but
And
it-
the things they make Nicolas Cage do,
No
Yeah,
kidding.
wow.
I mean,
but Bill Moseley was great.
it's
in
a
that.
psychedelic movie. It's almost like Mad Max mixed in with Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's just so out there. Some
out
people hated it.
Well,
Yeah,
Nick-
with
Nick-
Nicolas
dude,
Cage.
Nick Cage
He
is
said
everywhere,
it was
dude.
the
He is
weirdest
everywhere.
script he's ever read.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's been in a lot of those like
I love
weird
his
like
stuff.
off-wall
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
It's like
He doesn't owe like $1 gajillion, so he'll basically do any movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Literally
right.
any movie.
Yeah.
Yep,
Put me
yep.
on it.
He
I think
owns
recently
that?
he's now a vampire.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Yes!
pictures
Oh,
of
yeah,
that
I've
one
seen
walking
that.
around
Yes.
as a vampire?
no, there's that new one that just came out where he's playing himself.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Oh,
That I wanna see.
Definitely want to see that. That's going to be awesome.
But yeah, so Bill Moseley kind of, when we were down in Florida, this was another correlation to Rob Zombie was Jesse, our light guy from State Theater in St. Pete, the demise of State Theater.
State Theater.
Corporate bastards
Yeah.
that come in and chomp things. But Jesse was our lighting engineer, and he was also the creature in the live zombie shows.
All the creatures. He was
So
all the
the big
creatures.
robots.
He's the robot.
Gotcha.
He-
Okay.
and some of them creatures have their own Facebook page.
Oh, I'm sh-
And that's Jesse. So
kidding.
we had to get a different light guy. You know,
Every time
we
he
had
went
Phil
on
every
tour.
time he went on tour with Zombie, and he's still
Yeah.
doing it. He's still on stage with them.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so and that tied into
I can do that job.
you could
I can totally do that.
I know, what a sweet
just
job,
close
right?
the curtain when you're on backstage because people can see you changing.
Yeah, one time.
Yeah.
one
I don't
time.
care.
One time at the amphitheater, like we're backstage, you know, Zombie's on stage, and we're backstage. Jesse's there changing into all this stuff,
We
and we're like
see
singing
you.
his bare ass and stuff.
Right.
Everybody's like back. He didn't even know because the curtain
Yeah.
wasn't shut all the way, and he's like, you know, he's like fully naked and shit. Everybody's seeing. He's seeing him getting into these
that Borat?
giant things. It was awesome. It was awesome. That went around State Theater. Jesse, if you're watching, well,
Yeah,
we love you,
right.
man. Have a great tour. I know you're touring right now.
So we've got some listener questions here from Tim McDonald from
Oh,
We
Tim.
love you,
Tim McDonald, the greatest bass player
He
in
says,
Reno.
he says you two rule.
The greatest.
But he asks, were there any bands that blew your mind live more than expected? And in the inverse, who were you totally excited for and walked away completely underwhelmed?
Okay, well, Tim, if I answer that question of the underwhelmed, I might get some people pissed. But what you know,
Drama channel. Go
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
drunk.
yeah. This is
one band.
we're Jerry Springer without the chairs.
One band. You know, I booked over 700 huge national acts, huge,
Yeah.
giant. But one band that, you know, I was a fan of for many years and never saw was Opeth. And we
yes.
booked that, and I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, well, can they reproduce that live?
Yeah.
What kind of setting?
Oh, I've seen
you know,
her live. She was at that
you know-
Ozfest 2001. I saw her.
No, not OTEP.
No.
No,
Oh,
Opeth.
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 I thought you said-
Yeah.
No,
sorry.
no, not Opeth.
Michael Ackerfeld.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Michael Ackerfeld. Yeah, Opeth.
All right,
And,
my
and listening to them on a record is insane. The sounds and
It's
everything
insane.
that they do. Because I remember getting, man, this was probably somewhere in 2005, 2006. I bought Headbangers Ball album, and they were
Oh, yeah.
on that. And that was
Yep.
the first I ever heard of Opeth.
Wow.
And I was like, man, these guys are epic.
I
Yeah,
love
These guys
it.
are great. And
Yeah.
you got to help see these
Got
guys.
to book
Back
them.
to
Got
the
to book them.
walls.
And got to hang out all day with Michael
Yeah.
Ackerfeld, who was like, you know, definitely like, you know, one of my, I guess, metal idols. You know,
Okay.
but just seeing them on stage, didn't know what to expect. Because nowadays, the last three Opeth albums are kind of. They're kind of like 60s, kind of retro, psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
There's no growling vocals in it anymore. And music is still almost the same.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it kind of went into, you know, more of like almost like a 60s, 70s kind
Okay.
of thing,
Yeah.
which I like. I dig that. I'm
Right,
from,
yeah.
I'm from that era.
Yeah.
You know, but like the early growling stuff, I mean, I really love those
Oh,
albums
yeah, it
because it was so unexpected because they lull you in with these, you know, the softer orchestrations,
yes.
and then it would just come out like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Those
And you know,
choirs and the
And I mean,
synths and the
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
yeah,
and just like wow.
yeah, a lot of people, you know, are doing that nowadays.
A lot
But
more, yeah.
Back then, it wasn't much of that, so I didn't know what to expect on the show.
Yeah.
And didn't know because hanging out with Michael
He's so
Ackerfeld,
nice,
he's like a
soft-spoken.
comedian. He's like a stand-up. You know, you're one of your idols from England. You know,
Yeah.
you're part like, and we've got to do that with a lot of bands, but
Right.
Uh-huh.
you know, you figured there'd be like these regal dudes and they're all in their head.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
genius masterminds,
Right.
you know. And he was like the opposite. The dude was like doing shit jokes and fart jokes.
Just humble,
And
humble,
just hanging
down
with
to
him all
earth.
day.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know, before we were at State Theater, he did a show there, and he got food poisoning, and he remembers being there and sitting on the toilet all night long, you know, and just coming out doing parts and going back up and shitting on the toilet in the dressing room.
man.
Never
You know,
think
and
of
he
that.
he said that on stage, and he gave us both a shout out.
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah.
On stage
Between
at
the
his
shit
concert.
jokes, yeah.
He mentioned our name.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Man, this was sold out, packed to the wall.
We were in the
And-
corner smoking push.
I mean, I couldn't even get around to the stage,
Right.
side stage,
Yeah.
to do my job, you know. But yeah, and it was just so weird because they had like lush settings. Like this blue would come on, and then they'd do,
Oh,
you know,
the
and
lighting
it'd
and
just
stuff.
like be the spotlight on the piano,
Yeah.
and it'd be like, well, you know, and then all this stuff like a woods would show up like in the background. You know, we've seen a lot of that, but we've seen that woods and
Right.
you know, it was like freaking me out, and I was a little wasted, you know, and you know, and like the woods, and you know, and then he'd come out with the growls, and then everything would just like change for the moment.
Yeah, it
you know,
gets
because
tense.
There's so much into
their light
putting
guy,
on
their
your
light guy
set.
was,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the production
No,
dude
it's-
was like
Yeah.
right
It's
on
a whole
it,
production.
man.
Like there's
You know, and that kind of freaked me out. I mean, I'm trying to think in my mind of all the shit in my head.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What really did it, and Opeth sticks out in my mind.
And
Wow.
for me,
Yeah.
the worst ever, which we never worked with these artists, so I don't
fuck 'em.
care,
Yeah.
was ZZ Top. Here
Really?
I go to this major arena, and they're the headlining act. And okay, so I get through Skinner, and I grew up with all that. It was like,
Yeah.
But ZZ Top, when you're a band, as the audience member, I don't want to see three guys with
not moving, just-
I'm making my paycheck.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And I was bored to tears.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you got your 20-minute dual guitar
Yeah.
thing.
Like,
You know?
get on with it.
It's like if I was a guitarist, I don't know, but that I just like I can say there have been some shows I haven't liked. It's only because I wasn't into the musicianship.
Yeah.
I never knock a band or artist that's out there because many times they're pouring their heart and soul and their
Oh, yeah,
passion.
right.
That's
and
what
if
is
they don't,
real.
if they're lacking one of the three, then I'm turning away.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, and I know it comes with practice and exposure. So we always try to think, well, it's not our thing, but I'm going to applaud you
Right.
because I'm not doing what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
So that,
Although we
you know,
have walked out at a lot of our concerts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if, you know,
Really?
if it's
Quit
getting late,
now.
I mean, you know, someone else pays and
Right.
everything in there. You know, there's been somewhere.
I'd rather
You know,
pay
we've
for a
only-
rooster.
We've only stayed
chirping.
for like 2 songs. I'm
God,
not
I
going to say
swear
who
to
it
God.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
Many of them just said, "Oh, that's it, early night for us."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
but
But
some,
then
you
there
know.
are some
I've done
that-
it. I've done it in a couple
The
shows.
best bands out there for me at a show is ones that, okay, I work in the door, we're talking to people, and then those, what they call them, the damn bands.
Yeah.
The bands you say, damn!
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you,
Yeah.
when
Oh,
you
you
kill
sound
it on stage
Yeah,
with
lethal-
your
Yeah.
vocals,
Yeah, Lethal
the best
Exception,
front man,
man.
Yeah.
your drumming, Robbie, you can
Yeah,
say,
I love that. I
Yeah.
love signing. Man, I'm really into those. But there's a lot of bands here in Reno that I like, and I would,
for the musicians.
you know, love
Yeah.
to help. You know, like
It's that
entertainment
hunger, though. It's that
factor.
hunger. Like when you're starting, you're unsigned band. Like you're hungry. You're out there doing, and you're putting
we
110%.
made gas money.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting stoked
Well,
on
being
gas
local,
money.
I mean, the gas money isn't so much of a big deal, but it's more of that getting that.
It is with
exposure.
$6 a gallon.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, now it is. I'm going to start
Thanks,
a rickshaw business
well,
here.
I mean, at the shows we put on, we pay off your merch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
way beyond gas money.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
You go to sell merch. Here's an idea: have somebody watch your merch and try to bring it in.
Yeah.
to
Well,
sell,
and
you
to
know.
sell merch or even just your music in general, you got to come out swinging. You
Yeah,
got to come out in a
exactly.
way where people go,
Yeah.
damn, that's the reason
Wake
that
The
I'm
damn.
going to buy that
Yep.
t-shirt, because those guys made my night. Those
Mm-hmm.
guys came out here, you know, and they
Well,
made
like
me
you
feel like I
did.
spent good money.
The other
totally
night with
agree.
Unveil the Strength,
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
the show you opened up.
That was
you
a fun
were-
show. Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
you
That
took
was fun.
over and from the ruins. You are a killer front man.
Yeah.
Then I can hear Roberts, and I love a drummer when I can't follow him, because then you're a good drummer.
Right, yeah.
Like
Or
I did
he's really bad.
bongos.
Or he's really bad.
I played bongos for Drastic Fall, local band back in Florida, and my best performance was the first one because no one could hear it.
Yeah.
But oh yeah,
was it.
Robert, definitely one of the
Absolutely.
best
I
drummers in this
appreciate
entire
that.
state,
Absolutely.
man.
I appreciate it.
So
You
I'm
know,
here.
if I ever get back into music, I'm employing him.
Yeah.
I'm employing you. I mean,
As Mike knows, I jump on every band. So
we love watching watching
Yeah.
bands that
does.
I'm taken by, like Tim McDonald, Tim, your bass playing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Rachel and Scott and the other locals around, where I see each individual going, they're putting everything in and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
having a good time.
I thought Tim was going to
They're
knock
selling
over
it.
Scott at that show, actually. He was running around so crazy. I was like, holy shit.
I
no
love
shit.
it.
Yeah, Tim's a great bass
Oh,
player.
he's
yeah.
good.
I would definitely employ him.
And I
too,
don't know how
as
often
bass, for
you,
sure.
as band members, can see the audience members. If you connect with one person, I know you're thrilled, but I don't know if sometimes the lights are where you.
As a drummer, you don't see shit.
Well, you don't
No,
see shit.
you don't. You really
no,
don't.
I see the band, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I guess they're having a good time. 'Cause they're moving around.
Well, up front, it's kind of hit and miss. It depends on the venue. It depends on their style of lighting, right?
Yes.
Because I mean, if you got a stage like when we played the VSB this past weekend, it was different because I could still see to the back of the room.
Oh, you
but
could.
I could still feel all these lights. Like if I looked at any one of these lights, I'd see a blob
Yeah.
on everybody.
Oh, when they
So-
have the
Like
balcony up.
Alturas, like
blind.
Alturas.
You know, right,
You're
well-
blinded.
Well,
Yeah.
and because they're
Oh,
right there.
and
And
so-
so,
Alturas? Oh,
people
man.
are right
I got
there.
a problem with that light on the right. Every time. That thing is just
Every
nonstop. I swear it's just focused on me. And it's like
Dennis.
literally like right here. It's
Dennis, take a look at that
Dennis.
light on the
Dennis.
right.
Like, if you want to move that light for me, that'd be great.
No, but it
But
depends.
Kent is a great light guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kent's a great
What he
musician
does
as well.
Yeah.
on that stage, it's like it's amazing. And Kent has like been off for the past 3 weeks, so I've been doing it.
Yeah.
So I've been like.
Oh, you've been
fucking
doing the
around.
lights?
No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. So
Oh, I'm gonna talk
I
to
like
you.
wrote down all the cool settings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
That's
just
one
like
way.
blast
Old
into
school.
it.
Write it down.
But it's just like
Right.
cool, cool setting after cool setting. I have no
Right.
subtlety.
Yeah.
It's just
kidding.
like bam, 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 bam,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
cool shit, and then I just do
But
one,
it's an
one color and let it,
Yeah.
let it
Right.
pass. Yeah.
We're doing Dark Side of the Moon. Strobe lights.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's me. Blinking photograph light.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so with your guys' history of meeting all these bands and like you were talking about, you kind of helped get some of these bands to get signed.
Oh, yeah.
That's our
Like-
mission.
I mean, how many bands do you think you probably have helped sign?
Oh, tons.
See, over
Tons.
20.
Too many to count?
About 50, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 60.
I can tell you location.
No,
The
maybe-
furthest away
Can you
was
name-
Perth,
what are the-
Australia.
Probably
Yeah,
even
They
more than-
came to Florida, played 20 minutes for one of our showcases.
Well, we didn't really explain it. See,
Yeah.
the way we do it, the way we got to do it for years. I mean, we did it 17 years straight, and we planned to do it here in Reno in 2019 for our 18th one.
Right.
And it would be on the 20th or the 21st right now,
Right.
but
Yeah.
we never got to get it off the ground. But what we did, which started at Sony Records, which what I did for Sony Records, is put showcases together where you get the best unsigned bands and artists from around the country.
Yeah.
You pick 20 of
or
them.
around the world.
One.
Wherever
yeah.
you can
well,
get
one
'em,
did come
right.
from Costa Rica one time.
No.
Oh, wow.
You know, but
Australia.
it was okay.
Brain's
Brain's a little foggy,
Right.
But we would get
somewhere it wasn't
we would
here.
we would get 20 bands every year from around the country.
Yeah.
And they'd get to play for the Sony Records A&R team.
Oh, wow.
And and if they pick you or you get to be
They want to
part
talk
of
to
it.
you after
They
your
want to talk to you.
set.
That they will hook you up with a video, a single.
Yeah.
And then all this gear and stuff, and that transformed into because I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Then I proposed that we do a show on because we were on the Songwriters Network together.
Yeah.
Right.
I proposed that we do a show where it's a game show because American Idol just came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
debuted the same day.
Okay, that we debuted the same days, but that was I seen it was coming. It was all for like all the fluff shit.
Yeah.
But who was for the rock and metal bands?
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
So here we are with Sony backing and all this. So I devised a game show called Rock Solid Pressure.
Yeah.
That's where the name came from.
kidding.
Okay.
And what that was an on-air game show on the air, on the radio, and on this new shiny thing called the internet,
Right.
where you could get where you
Dial-up.
could get votes from.
Yeah.
Right.
So I devised a thing where the band would play, we played their song, and a voting booth would open up.
Right.
And then all the fans could vote, either call in to the station,
Yeah.
or do it on the
online.
new shiny
Yeah.
internet. So, and we had, production and stuff. So we were counting. Then when the song was over, the voting booth would shut. And we'd have 5 bands on every week.
Yeah.
And we'd do that. And whoever won, you know, they get announced right there. They would come back next week. And if they win 5 times, they get the thing with Sony.
No
they get
kidding.
all the equipment, the mixing
Like Battle
board.
of the Bands,
John
yeah.
Lennon songwriting contest. I don't know if you remember that. Might be before your time.
It's before their
But
time.
they were part of Warp Tour.
Yeah, okay.
Which we were
Yeah,
on.
okay.
We were on Warp Tour every year
Yeah.
with J Rock and Patty.
Okay.
Every year till like 7, 8 years ago.
So did you guys travel with the?
Yeah, we drove on the John Lennon songwriting tour bus.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had a whole
It was a studio
recording
on wheels,
studio
a
on it.
recording
Really?
studio. So the bands would get all this stuff, you know, and they'd win stuff, and they'd get all that. So that's how we got bands signed too, that way.
Yeah.
And then we do the live showcase every year.
Right. Oh,
where
wow.
these winners all year
Come perform.
would perform for Sony Records. And then I had a dispute with Sony Records after a couple of years, and I left. I had a big dispute. Now, you know, first of all, the bling thing and the Grammys and all that, and all that stuff, the Grammys, and that wasn't my thing. It was, but for me,
No, I never liked that.
yeah, she
No
loved
way.
Right,
she
right.
loved dressing up.
Right.
And shit, you know?
Yeah.
I hate dressing up. I like to
You
go
know.
to the tables and talk to the stars.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
would,
That's what I want. Hey,
they would get me a suit because I would walk in like this,
All right.
and they would
I'm
make
here.
me put
That's
on a
Metal's
suit.
fault.
And they would give me a tie.
Really?
Yeah.
You should have just clipped it on the shirt and been like,
Yeah,
And
just get you a
I
tuxedo
basically
t-shirt.
Did you do that?
You know, but I wasn't that guy, and that was that scene.
Yeah.
At that time, and I
Right.
wasn't that person,
Yeah.
and I needed to go to something where I could just be myself, find bands because I am a band. I'm part of a band.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it did so happen that I was this kind of wonder kind
Yeah.
for Sony, and they were pulling me dry. The vice president of A&R, Joe Serini, they were sucking me dry, and they were getting a lot of stuff, and I wasn't getting a lot of credit on it.
Yeah.
Not that I
That's how it
cared
goes.
about
Well, if
that.
you're doing it, you should get the credit for
I
it.
didn't really care, but then I started to care.
Yeah.
So then I left and went into a more different thing with Ken Krongard from Atlantic Records. He signed Avril Lavigne and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I felt more with him, and we became like a A&R kind of thing, and we would find bands, and Ken would come to the showcase. So then I said, okay, so we don't have Sony on the showcase panel anymore. How about we get all our media partners to all come in? Century Media,
Right.
Roadrunner. How about we just put a whole panel together? And people were saying, like, in the business, well, don't you think everyone would be at each other's throat?
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, it'll work. It's perfect harmony.
That's like
No-
Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's like Shark Tank.
Shark
it's like
Tank.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Right, right.
nobody will jump up and go, oh, you're signed, because
Right.
you got to go through litigation.
Yeah.
The best they could say is, have the band come talk to me later. Because
Right.
you got to go into lawyers and all that shit.
Right,
You know,
contracts and all that.
Yeah,
Takes
so
time.
how
Yeah.
about we did it. We did our first one. I think in Florida. We did a couple in New York.
We
And
did
then-
one in Connecticut too. We did one at the
yeah,
Music
but that
Ranch.
was still Sony. They were
Oh
both
yeah,
Sony.
and what, the other thing too is some of the bands were starting to think it's just for one label. It reads more like a battle of the bands, and we can't stand
yeah,
that.
yeah. It did,
So we want to showcase your talent, get constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the
to
Battle of
help
the Bands thing was taken out because we also brought in some of the biggest PR agencies
Yeah.
in the world that are not labels, and they all just mixed in because they were big PR agencies. Because you don't really even need a label. If you have a great PR
Right.
agent, you can get as much exposure
Right.
as you can from a record label.
That's what they're for.
You
They
realize
have
that
their
from
own.
your touring days too. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
really
exactly.
need that label
Yeah,
signing.
So we did them every year. I mean, the first year in Florida, actually in Connecticut, we added a second part of the Rock Solid Pressure Show to be a real radio show. First, it was just a half-hour game show.
Yeah.
And we had Sony backing, and we did that for a year. 2003, I said, let's add another part in. Do some interviews with all these people that we know, and that came in late. That came in late 2002.
Yeah.
And that's when we did all the, Bill Ward and Bill Mosley,
Right,
Paul.
the interviews
That's
and stuff
on the
coming in.
second half, and we called that the after party. But the show was still called the Rock Solid Pressure Show.
Right. Yeah.
And we did that, and we carried that into Florida, into syndication, where
It
we
just
would
kinda
still
morphed into
we would
all-
still do the competitions. and then we do that. And then after a year of that, we decided, how about we do like the competitions like once every 3 months and just do a competition, quickly. And that way, we only really stopped it like 5 years ago. Yeah. And that way it got us to find the bands to play for the industry showcase every year. Right. But, but we plan on doing one here in 2019 when we got here, and we will do one.
Well, you guys had a soft start though. The Metal at the Moon.
Oh yeah,
Metal on the Moon. Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't have any.
There was
labels.
no. There was no PR.
No national ads.
But we plan on doing special shows for one label here and there, because we know a lot of people. And a friend of ours just moved here, Nikki Law from Nikki Law PR. Okay. It's actually called Breaking the Law PR, and she was the head honcho at Metal Blade, and she just left to do her own thing, but she handles all the great bands that you guys love. She handles all that, and she just moved here to Reno, and she's raising a puppy right now, because I keep telling her to come out to shows. Like I wanted her at Metal Exorcism and a lot of stuff, and she's like, well, once I get done raising the puppy, I'll be out. And that's great.
Like
so maybe we can do a showcase for Nikki Breaking the Law PR.
That'd be great.
And she'll take on a band, to rise to glory.
Right,
because she's right here. But we did plan on doing a full-blown showcase as soon as I get the right bands. They have to have new music. They have to have a new album.
Yeah.
So it has to work that way. And
that cut half of my bands.
And they have to be prolific. They have to write an album every year. You know what I mean? No.
Lethal Inception has that though.
Well, Lethal Inception has that. You guys just recorded, but you didn't release.
No, we have that one, but we have
another set ready.
We have two sets, I think, almost 2 sets ready. So it's. There's stuff there.
There might be a resurgence.
I'd say record that shit.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
We got a couple questions on our Twitch viewers.
Ooh.
Hey, Twitch viewers.
So first question, Joseph Bars asks, is this the casting couch?
What's the casting couch?
No, the casting couch would be a we were on that side.
Actually, we're on the casting couch. Yeah. They're on the chairs.
Yeah, these are casting chairs.
I'm gonna butcher this. Shobin Habibi010 says, "Can you guys play guitar?"
Jay can.
Yeah, I can. I haven't played.
Acoustic, electric.
I haven't played in years, but
and he also does vocals because he actually did.
That's right. Yeah,
jump up on us with what we do. Rat Child. We did Rat Child.
I do Rat Child.
Don't put that song the first time again. It's so hard to
like the first time I ever do it, but it's like one of the covers. I think, I think I could do.
You're like, I got this.
Yeah.
I love that. Do bongos.
I love that Killers album. That's like one of my favorites of all time.
That's a great album.
Yeah,
that is cool.
So going from FM radio to the internet, what was that transition like?
Well, we had both.
Because you were like the shiny new internet.
Freeing. It was liberating.
But we had both, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So
because it was freeing because you guys got to be yourself more than you ever could on FM.
We didn't have to have the sponsors.
Did you have to do two though? Because if the other one you couldn't cuss or anything, you'd have to do another one.
We had to record two versions. One was live FM, and one we could record for the internet. So. Yeah, I mean,
that led to a little stint on TV. We did a TV show.
Yep.
I was going to get into that to the TV show because
we did that for a little bit.
And the TV show was cool because we showed what it was like behind the scenes at a concert.
On the stage,
we just showed warts and all with all the bands.
No kidding.
I mean, and they were cool with it. We had to get the permission.
Of course.
MTV needs to pick that up.
It was like that.
We showed what it was like at a real concert event behind the scenes. Not the glitzy what you see.
Right.
But
in the front of the curtain.
There's so much
this
that happens.
I want to see that naked guy behind the curtain. Let's get that naked.
Exactly.
There's so much.
It was like that.
When you talk to the artists, when they have some downtime after their sound check or whatever, they're hanging out, and you get to just talk to them.
Yeah.
We get to learn, who's a Yankees fan, or whose dog just died, or what, like Tone Loc, I ain't paying alimony, you get to hear stories of real life, or they broke down the road, or if they're in a bad mood, something happened the night before. We're not gonna bother them.
Real story.
Well, that's why I started. I had this idea for this podcast because that's how I would do that, like talking to you guys, and that was the history, like getting back to the history and like the what's happening right now and just a conversation. I was like, dude, this would be great just to be fucking.
Well, that's the beauty of it is
Yes.
everybody's got a story to tell, and I've said this many times to a lot of our guests is, we don't bring people on here because of one particular thing, because in reality everybody's got a story to tell, whether it's where they're from, where they are, where they're going.
Yeah, their entire life is a story.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And whether you're playing music or you're in the industry of supporting music or whatever it may be, you've got this passion for it. And being musicians, we love having people like you guys because you promote so much about the scene, and just because you could take every metalhead in a small town and that's great, but why not have the rest of the world hear about this metal band in this small town,
Right.
like Reno?
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
But the audience might not know anything about
Exactly.
this.
I've always tried to do just that. You know what I mean? But through the radio,
Right.
Where we had to play a lot of things, but a lot of times I could sneak some stuff in,
Yeah.
and nobody would really care or be the wiser. Or I remember one time we got sued by the FCC.
Oh, really?
For something I don't know,
you
a
put
curse
something on
word,
I'm
twice,
sorry.
or
I'm
cursing.
not, Jay, I'm
or
not getting
curse-
personal.
Yeah.
He's a coyote.
I mean, we didn't actually
Watch your
get sued.
ankles.
The station did, but I always wanted to promote up and coming unsigned bands.
Yeah.
Local bands that I believed in.
Well, because I think they have the greatest stories as well too. Like
They do,
hardship
and
that
they're
they're going through.
and they bust their ass, and you
Yeah.
got to remember all your
warn
idols
you.
were at one time local bands
and doing the same exact.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you just don't break up
Right.
and keep going
That's
with
the
your
hardest
band.
part, yeah.
I know.
You're
Sam.
making her yawn.
Yeah, I know.
She just wants her limelight. That's
Yeah.
all
I'm
it is.
sorry.
Yeah, as long as you
Oh.
just keep going and you don't break up,
Right.
eventually you're going to hit.
That's the
hit
hardest
spot
part.
you
It's a
wanna get.
brotherhood.
Especially with
It is.
running a band, like
It
in a
is.
band, if you got 4 or 5 members
Yes.
in there,
It is.
With life
You
stuff.
know,
live stuff. Everybody's dealing with their own life stuff,
you
and
mean?
sometimes it's like, all right, well, this person's gone now.
It is,
and,
but
like,
you know,
this person's-
sometimes you come across a lineup that just clicks, and you go, "This is the lineup that I'm." You
Yeah.
feel that
Yeah.
this
Right.
is the lineup that's going to
You
make
can
it.
marry.
You
Yeah.
know, you might go through a lot of different members. Like, back in the 80s, I was like notorious for firing people. I was a real
really?
asshole. I was a drunk. I was a drug addict.
Right.
I was just like
A typical musician.
You know,
Right.
I mean, I stopped
You
all
were
that
normal.
stuff. I stopped all that stuff in 1990, except for weed.
Right.
But
You
know,
got to see,
But I was an asshole, and I made up for that. I called people, and I apologized for being that way. But I would fire people right and left. I was,
Right.
which I should, rather than giving somebody a chance to work with it and get it done. That's what I really didn't do.
Yeah.
But I say, you find a lineup that you're comfortable with, that you're going to be in, stick with it. If you're somebody that's having a problem, or you don't think you're going to go the distance, then give them the polite heave ho.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
She didn't
Well,
like
until
that
one's running
story.
away and you're trying to,
She didn't
you got
like
a
that
member
story.
that's running
Yawning.
away, and you're like, please don't go.
Yeah.
And then just sad eyes, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
listening to that track from what's her name again?
Sarah McLaughlin.
Sarah
Oh,
McLachlan.
stop!
Oh, yeah.
Why would you, to begin with?
like the
There's
ultimate
enough
bummer. Yeah.
Donate today.
people out there that are so depressed and despondent. You want to hear uplifting in your face, make me feel, hell yeah, good music.
Yeah, well, and that's
so
the beauty.
shut up, people, with your Sarah McLaughlin.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Let's get
And,
real.
and don't get me wrong, yeah, you got artists that are very into writing very emotional songs and things like that, and there's people that
Yeah, we used to
look
call
for
them
that.
There's a whole
diaries.
genre. It's
Right,
called
right. They're
emo.
diary songs, right?
Emo.
Diaries.
Emo. That was the other side, but
Oh yeah.
But the
Emo.
thing-
Now you're
and the
taking
thing,
me
Yeah,
back.
the thing
emo.
that I love the most about metal is the fact that it is like you can go to a Sarah McLachlan show and be like,
using it
that
as a
was
reference,
interesting,
You're
you know.
not.
Yeah.
You go to a metal show, you're walking out of there going, "That was rad, that was badass."
Oh yeah.
My
yeah.
shirt's ripped in
Oh,
half.
I'm ready to go
I got a
destroy
true
my house
story
or something.
here.
I
True
feel
story.
good.
Yeah,
Aftershock, whatever it's called in Florida, I forget. Same
It's
band.
Welcome to Rockville.
Okay,
in
thank
Florida.
you. So I have a friend, Anna, in Florida, and she has a teenage son, Wesley, who always used to go to the horror conventions, meet up, and he's such a brainiac, already in college at 17. So he says, "Mom, can we go to this festival?" So they get the hotel and bring the puppy, and the grandma comes, and they stay there. But Anna researched every Megadeth, Metallica, researched every band, picked out songs she wanted to hope that they would do in their set.
Yeah.
And Wesley went in as a solo child. He came out with a pack of friends.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Now his hair's long.
Yeah.
No kidding.
One show.
Yeah.
The best experience
did
of his
that.
life.
Oh yeah.
'Cause
Metal
well,
do that to
see,
you.
she had dropped her phone.
yeah.
People said, "Go up front, you can see better."
Yeah,
Okay,
they-
so now you're in the pit,
Right.
mother and son in the pit.
Yeah.
And okay, they're doing the songs, and Anna actually knows the songs because she researched
Right,
for
she's like,
herself.
yeah.
And he's there. Okay, so her phone, she gets hit. She goes, "They were doing this thing called moshing, and my phone got knocked out."
Oh yeah, they got caught in the mosh.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the mosh pit.
We've all been there.
I had a few teeth knocked out.
This is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. So she says, I couldn't believe it. Everyone stopped and found my phone. I said, that's metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
That's
just,
metal.
That's the metal
We
community
changed
right
two
there.
new lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. There's nothing
yeah,
like it in
exactly.
the entire world.
We get young 21-year-olds first time at a metal show downtown Reno, and they're all sheepish and shy, and they're fine. Who you want to be yourself here.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
And everyone is accepting. There's
Yeah,
no
we all
age
respect
limit.
each
There's
other.
no
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, we love the Reno scene. It's
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's not quite as hectic as Florida, like with
Right.
our 5 nights a week going
And we're a little
crazy.
bit smaller
You
there
know,
too.
and, it's a lot smaller, but we like that. It's a tight knit community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who we are, and it's just a great community. There's some really great bands here too.
Yes. Yes.
Just some really great bands. I mean, not quite like 4,000 in one area,
Right.
But there's plenty of
Mike
great bands.
is pointing his fingers.
I just found out something interesting. You said horror cons and the horror
Yes.
scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I just pulled up because I remember I got invited to a horror con, and then I was like, well, what was that? The Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento.
Oh,
2022. Guess who's going to be here this year?
Bill Mosley.
Boom.
Yeah.
Ah.
No
There you
kidding.
go. Wow,
He's-
cool.
Road trip.
He does all the horror con. Well, if you guys go, we'll catch a ride with you.
We'd
Oh,
love to.
yeah.
Not sure if our old classic truck would actually make it. over
What
there.
is
yeah,
it?
yeah.
I have to
make it over the
sidebar here. What is it in Reno? We have an old Ford Ranger. We set foot out within a quarter mile. There's 5 other Ford Rangers.
Oh yeah. No,
Oh,
those are definitely
What
popular.
the heck?
Yeah.
Bass
Yeah.
players
Yeah, is that like
and
the
Ford
truck of
Rangers
choice? That,
are
that's
in
fine with
Reno.
us.
No, we think we're Texans, so we
Oh.
just buy Ford.
Yeah, that's about right.
Right.
Further
I almost
west.
made Mike. You're right over there, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny though, Rangers and Coyotes and
Yeah, a lot of
The desert wildlife.
Yeah.
it's,
So we also
a
have
drink.
another question here from one of our viewers, and comes from Ty from Antipex,
guys
who we
know
had
Ty.
on
Oh,
last
Ty.
week.
You guys
I
know Ty?
love you when
Love
you're ready
Ty.
to play live,
love
man.
Antipex.
Ty says, "Hey guys, what's the most rewarding thing about what you do in the music scene?"
Meeting
great
people
question.
like you guys.
Yeah, and,
I
you know,
That's the most rewarding.
it's just
Feeling
that,
accepted and liked.
we love
And appreciate
hard
it.
rock and metal, and obviously, I'm no millionaire. I didn't sell out. I've stuck to my guns.
That's right.
Where'd you
I've
get that
been-
limo you pulled up?
I
in?
know, yeah. Even Sony, like I told you, I didn't feel right. So
Yeah.
it's like I've never, I guess you could call it sold out. I've loved one thing since the '70s, and it
He's
was
a ham.
it was the metal scene, the hard rock and metal scene.
It
and
truly is.
And I love helping new bands. I love finding new bands and discovering something that'll make me go, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is a wow moment.
Why don't people
and I'm
know these
so
guys?
glad I'm here to actually see this.
Right. Yeah.
Damn straight.
That doesn't happen with every band, but
Yeah.
that's how I get my
Some-
meager amounts of joy with that and
Yeah.
horror movies.
Yeah.
You
You
feel
get a lot of
like
that true
we're all
underground.
living
Yeah.
parallel lives. Because you could walk into a casino and see 5 metalheads at a bar. It's not a joke. It's not a setup.
5 metalheads walk into a
Right.
bar.
No, a casino. And I did that at Black Flag. I said, Jay, look, there's some metalheads. And walked right up. Hey, guys, dudes, what's up? And turned out they were one of the opening acts. And it's just this immediate comfort.
Yeah.
with people in metal. It's
Oh,
just
and speaking of
immediate.
Antipex, we're doing Antipex's first hometown show with the Dude in June.
The
The
dude.
Dude
coming
right here
back.
on my
Florida
shirt are
back,
coming
yeah.
back.
Florida names,
Yeah, and
they're
I
coming
believe,
back.
I believe. Well,
We had a great time with them.
We-
We
I
had a
mean,
great, they were
we
awesome.
we were going to
They're
have
amazing.
Sign
We love
8.
you, Dude.
Yeah.
You're go-
The
but
Dude.
you're going to be on vacation where? In Florida at the
Weird.
time.
Yeah, not me.
I think Scott said you were going to be on vacation in June.
Scott's making up fucking stories.
See,
now,
oh,
you
Scott-
little dick.
Scott never makes up stories.
I don't know.
Scott.
He's a fibber and a
He's
half.
like, Robert's gonna take a vacation to the moon.
Yeah, well,
He's not gonna be here.
where is Scott? Why isn't Scott here?
And now you're gonna go, hey Scott, what about that show? You're all, what show?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Robert?
Okay, well,
You're
I
gonna be in Florida.
well, no, we wanted Sign 8 on the show because the Dude is coming.
Yeah.
So we got to have Sign 8, but we got a pretty stacked lineup on that. It's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Metal on the Moon 2, but like a smaller version of it.
Yeah.
But Anipex is on that show, so we can't wait
Stoked
to actually
for
see
that.
Ty
Stoked for them too.
live in person with a band because we've spun some of his music on the
Yeah.
Rock Solid Pressure show.
Yeah,
already.
we talked with him last week, and
Yes.
and Derek, and we were talking a lot about how their music has evolved from the starting point of Ty wanting to create something, and it's like we've been itching to get out and play live, so we're gonna have to go catch them when they come.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so
I love the
glad.
music. It has
They're
kind of
great.
like
Yeah,
an
it's
industrial
great.
kind of
Yeah.
vibe on it. You
He's
know?
doing it smart, I think.
I think so too.
I can't wait to see it.
Not
They're
jumping
full
out too
steps.
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with nothing. They got
Yeah.
like a full loaded,
That's
locked
amazing.
and loaded gun right there. Like, because they got merch, the album's recorded.
It's all ready to
sounds
go.
good. Everything's ready to
Yeah,
go.
and that's the right way to debut a band.
Oh yeah,
That's it.
100%.
I mean,
Doing
you know,
it right, making us wait.
Ty
and
definitely
wait.
did his homework,
Yes, he did.
before coming out with a project like this, and I applaud that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
There's no need to hurry when you're ready and it's right.
I think that happens with a
guys
lot of
know.
bands, though. It's just a rush, and it gets out there. You're so excited. You know?
Yes.
It's like, ooh, I gotta get this shit out here.
Yeah,
People are
yeah.
gonna love it, and then it's
And
like,
the nerves show through.
Yeah,
That's
I
the thing.
forget. I kind of forget that feeling. I sort of remember, like I started in like 1979 as a young kid.
Yeah.
that
Well,
time.
that's Reno.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was like
right.
That's right.
But you had to be a cover band then because they wouldn't let you play originals in clubs, so you had to work in your one song or two songs into a
Yeah.
set they'd allow.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like 1982 that venues started coming out with signs, all original music.
Yeah.
and you go, wow.
well, you didn't have that here because it was casino bands, and you had to be 100%.
Oh
cover
yeah, I
band.
can imagine.
Do
what it was
they
like
even
here.
have
Yeah.
casino bands in Reno?
They had it for the
yes.
last couple of, my dad's in one.
So they
Oh,
have
yeah,
they
yeah.
have bands that go and they play, and depending on the band, they may have like this set. It's kind of like in Vegas where you have like a comedian who goes and does a residency, right? So they have bands that
Right.
they sign doing residencies at the casinos, and they get paid a certain amount per
Right.
weekend or whatever it is that they're going to do, and they'll play. And obviously, it's
I never see
supposed to be
advertising for
well, and
that.
that's the thing is, unless you're, I mean, I don't know how much advertising they do for that.
They
I
don't
don't
do
think
that
they
unless
do.
you're like Rain or Mr. Crawley, who's coming here.
Right,
Scott's
right.
gonna be playing with
Right.
them.
I mean, but even
Right.
then, that's
Ray.
a traveling. They're just coming through Reno to do a stop.
Yeah,
where-
but as a
Not a
casino,
peep.
not a
no,
it's not like
it's
a casino
more
act. Like,
when it comes to like a residency for a band playing in a casino. It's more of a it's an atmospheric thing. Like you come to the casino to have a good
Right.
time, have some drinks, gamble a little bit, maybe see a game or something that's premiering
the band
or
isn't
an event.
predominant.
Right.
That's not the number one
it's
reason.
more of a
then.
background, kind of like you're
Oh.
walking around through the store and you hear the music on the
Oh,
speakers or
okay.
something, right? And that's a little different. But otherwise,
Got it.
I don't even think the bands have names at casinos.
I don't think
yeah,
not
they do.
all-
My
they
dad's
do.
is a Sharp Brooks
The,
band.
the casino
my dad
band.
does.
And
My
it's a
dad does.
it's a three-piece, and they're awesome. They're
And
amazing.
I saw a video of I don't know what was it, the Nugget or somewhere had one of those type of bands. They had no look. The members were talking to each other while they
Oh,
were
really? Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I
There's
don't-
no banter. It's
No.
just, hey, everybody, have a good night.
No,
Oh,
so
you know what
or
we're
not
doing?
even
my
that.
dad. I want to tell you the story. Because my dad tells me the story all the time. It's they were playing the Atlantis, right? And it's that stage. If you've been there, it's the
No.
one by the poker tables and stuff going in there. And they weren't loud at all, but they got kept told to turn down. They're too loud. And the people that were sitting in front are like, "You kidding me? We're having a full-on
Yeah.
conversation. We could still, hear each other."
Interesting.
And later they found out it was because they were pulling people off of the tables. And so they were coming down and just watching and having drinks. But they don't want that because
Screw that.
it pulls people off of the tables where they're
There were actually
throwing
music lovers in the house.
money. Yes, yeah.
Oh,
So they got told-
shame.
yeah.
Well,
You
and,
left
and that's
The
kind of that's their game, right?
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah, that's-
what brings.
I mean,
people
that's
to
a
the
that's a
casinos.
business thing. That's
yeah,
the business side
yeah,
of things.
that-
You're
that's-
you're
I
taking
hate
away
that
from my
shit.
money.
So
and
it makes
going right-
sense.
Money,
but-
money.
Yep.
I mean, it's good. It's good money if you're going to do it consistently and whatever.
Then why'd
Great-
you even
it's
have a
great
band
money.
on? You
Yeah, it's
could have had
great
house
money.
Great
music.
money.
It's great money because it's consistent, and it's
Gosh.
not like, oh, I hope all these people I invited or whatever show up to the
Right.
show.
Jeez.
But I mean, there are the ups and there are the downs.
Well, I'll tell you, we're doing a comedy show April 9th down at El Tours.
We are.
And
We are. I hope you guys
yeah,
can come and
that's
actually
a-
support.
yeah,
It's something
I heard
different.
about that.
We've never done this. I mean, we booked Gallagher before at the State Theater years ago.
No
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
Like 10 or 12 years ago.
Did
The
you have a
only-
lot of garbage bags?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It was like
Ponchos.
it's like the guar of comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's but
Carrot Top talked a lot.
Yeah,
about
so
it,
we're
actually.
doing that, but what we're finding lately is I don't know, wherever our shows are being put out somewhere, maybe Reno events. The cool thing is we're getting like businessmen coming in for conventions. They hear about us. I mean, they're coming to metal shows too.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that.
Well, yeah. Is this the first like comedy show you guys actually put
Yeah,
on?
Yes,
here
yes.
in Reno.
I mean,
Well,
not just
yeah.
here, but is it
Well,
like
well,
first one? In...
No,
No,
we've
it's-
done a couple.
We have?
Yeah, Bourbon Street in Newport Richie.
Oh yeah, but that was with metalhead comedians. That
Yeah.
just
Oh, so it's
No,
like in
these are with-
betweeners, like
Yeah,
here,
this is professional comedian. It's like what happened with that is Cam from Claymore. You know Cam.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's a comedian. He's pretty big in L.A. and stuff. He does the rounds of all the
He
comedy.
came in second when he tried out for Steel Panther.
Now, talking-
Second.
I know. I'm talking
There's
about
another
comedy.
there's another bass player from town who's actually on that running too as
Oh
well.
shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway,
Kudos.
I talked to Cam and I said we needed a date to fill at Alturas. It was just an open date.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Cam about something. I was like, hey, do you still do your comedy thing? He's like, oh yeah, I haven't done it in a while, but I could get back in. So it said I have an open date here. Why don't you come and do that? And he's like, great, let's put it together. So we did, and Cam's going through some problems I don't want to talk about at the moment, but
Yeah.
he's going through some
So it
problems.
didn't work out for
Yeah.
him, right?
So, but he turned it over to some of the people that he knew that were big in the
Right, who-
industry.
yeah.
And they kind of put it together for us.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
So we're just basically just going to do it and see what happens because we love comedians.
Right.
We,
Oh, they're
we
great.
watch their HBO specials and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
We love that. So we said, why
They're
not?
timeless.
So are any of them local here in town?
I believe like
I don't know.
at least two of them are local.
Okay, I know
You
a
know,
local comedian here
you know-
too. His name's Sean Pearson. If you guys,
Yeah,
okay,
I know they might all be local. I really don't know, but they put it together and it looks pretty good. And I'm hoping even the metalheads will come out because it's going to be raunchy. It's not going to be tame.
they're going to get the metalheads out there.
Well, I mean, it's going to be raunchy. It's
Yeah.
not going to be tame comedy.
Oh yeah, it's not PG.
No,
comedy
no.
here. We're not
God,
running
we couldn't
Disney comedy
stand
here.
No, it's not. It's not Disney comedy.
Come on.
Shoot me now.
I mean, it's
God.
like nothing like I know how the comedians
I want
nowadays.
Bob Ross
I
up
know
there.
how they have to hold back.
Ross.
I know like comedians have to hold back nowadays because they can't. There's certain things they
I might
can't
have to
say.
get up there.
May have to
Slap
have rubber.
somebody.
Yeah,
Rubber.
but-
Gonna have
but
to slap somebody for me.
This one's going to be just.
Sweetie.
This is going to be balls to the wall comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping everybody.
I'm
shows
excited
up. What
for
day
it.
is
Oh,
that?
dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, what-
April
what's-
9th.
April 9th,
yeah.
Saturday.
You missed Mike's
Oh,
joke
yeah.
there.
I'm hoping at least anybody would just come out and support us. 'cause
I'd
it's
love
our-
to, yeah.
It's our first time. I mean,
It's not Will Smith.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just not Will
Settle down,
Smith.
Will.
yeah, I mean, not Will Smith, but I mean, the metal shows we pack out at Outdoor, but
Yeah.
a lot of the people.
I think
know,
you're gonna get the same thing. You're
I
gonna
would
get-
like to see it just
We'll
to like
see. We'll see what
support
happens.
us in this new venture.
Yeah.
and just come out and laugh.
I think
and
it's
party.
her show. It's the Chiweenie
Yeah.
show.
I'm excited for. I love comedy, so anytime.
Good.
we
I
do
hope
it,
you
they're
guys
good.
come out.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I mean, we don't know what to expect. I mean, it's our first time actually doing this, so
I think you guys are gonna be
Look,
surprised.
I
But-
have a connection with Lassie's, with John Provost,
Lassie.
okay? No, but she's, look at her. She's just
but you know what?
test
You
or
know what's
something.
funny
That's
at the
right.
metal exorcism? Ian,
Oh,
we're
that-
calling
Yeah,
him,
with the
we call him
plate.
Father Ian the
Brilliant.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
Did such a great job of
Yeah.
expelling the demon. It was hilarious. I wanted to actually get with him and try to get him a residency in Vegas.
He
No
was
shit.
it was
so
so
funny.
fun. I swear
Well,
to
they
God,
were just in.
I almost shit
Whiskey
myself.
Whiskey A Go-Go,
They just
yeah.
did the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Yeah, in L.A.
Who
LA?
was?
Yeah.
Deplete?
Deplete. They just
Oh,
did
no,
that
no,
show.
yeah,
no,
Deplete
No, I know
was.
Deplete, but no, it was Ian from the band Hired Fun was the Exorcist
Oh,
this
he
year.
did it this year?
And then
Yes. Justin from
Deplete and
Deplete
Paul, they
helped-
were the
Right.
tribal.
they
Gotcha.
helped him out.
okay.
But you know how funny Ian is from Hired Fun.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a walking,
he
talking.
did push-ups before.
and, you know,
Did he? Yeah, he got it
he's
ready.
an encyclopedia of horror movies too.
Yeah.
He knows everything. So he did a course in exorcism in college or something. He was telling us. So he was fully equipped.
Yeah.
But he turned it into like this comedy show that was just the most funniest thing I've ever seen. And it could like go so big in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like you said, like a
Yeah.
residency. He could like kill Tape Face.
No
Or,
kidding.
I mean,
Yeah.
he could be like the new
Or Mr. Piddles
You know,
or
just have
whatever.
Oh, yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
everybody that comes into the
Piddles
show
the clown,
has to
yeah.
sign up for an exorcism and bring them on stage and be humiliated by Ian.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Because it was
Oh,
just
people do. Yeah. You,
It
yeah.
They
so
did.
funny,
They were
man.
lining
Oh,
up.
God.
I was like, there'd probably be a bunch of people lined up for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was so funny. I want to do another part 2 down here. Another
It
one.
was
Yeah.
great.
I'm afraid to get rid of my demons.
Well, there's some you want to
no, but
keep. You
he
want
was
to
only,
keep
he
going.
was only pulling the ones out that bothered you.
Oh, okay,
the
yeah.
ones that you wanted to keep.
Those are the ones I like.
Yeah, the ones that keep. No, but the ones that were
Get rid of
really
the good ones.
He
I like
can-
the
he
bad
can
the
ones.
ones that
glue
were
them
really
in then,
fucking your
too.
head up. You needed to have a thought process diverted.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
You know,
just
yeah.
me.
And I got a few of those that I just want out of my head, but that are always there in the back of my head that I think of.
Yeah.
But yeah,
See, I love that you mentioned Deplete. You know, the support on our little scene is really tight.
It
I
is.
think
I
it
love
really
Deplete.
is.
Oh, they're great guys.
Never a
There's
bad
every
word
single one
about
of them.
anybody. It's awesome.
I've
Well,
never ran into a
No. Everybody's happy for each other.
Like a
you know?
shitty
I
act.
can't say that.
Well, maybe you've run into
I've ran into a
a
couple.
few. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're going to, but it's not.
there's
I mean, you're gonna have those people,
Yeah,
but
of course,
when you
man.
I mean, with this community, and we've talked about this on this podcast before, is just how tight knit it really is. We all
It is.
we all support each other. You know,
Yes.
I mean, you go back to the whole, when everybody was, doing their thing, and we were doing our underground thing with the Portal, and all those bands coming in. It was like nothing but love there because we all wanted to
Truly, it was.
support
It
each
was,
other,
yeah.
give each other that opportunity to come out, get that practice back in from being separated from each other for so long.
Depression.
It was
That
so
depression.
How everyone
depression,
came together. Scott deserved the most props for doing the
Scott did so
sound.
much shit
Rachel
there.
cleaning the place.
Oh, yeah.
It just every person involved.
Yeah.
It was out of love and
Yeah.
a speakeasy, if you
It
will.
was so
That's what I say.
underground.
It
yeah,
was.
I
I
love
love
underground.
There was so many people there. I was like, holy shit.
and we couldn't advertise.
No,
Right.
you can't advertise
Word of
it.
mouth.
But Sisolak did say we could do private parties.
Yeah.
So we put up event
Yep.
pages
Private
that said
party.
private event,
Right.
invite only.
Yep,
And that's how we
yep.
got away with it and didn't
Right,
get
right.
busted.
Yeah.
Because it was a private party, a private gathering.
It was.
The
man.
public.
It was.
But it
though.
was for the public.
It was
and that
fun.
was such a cool experience too because it there was a couple bands that we talked to that were like holy this was the best thing that we could have asked for because we need this practice to keep going for when the venues do open
I
back
got
up again.
so many connections from the Portal.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Like some
That
bands
worked
that
out
I've
great.
never even met or seen.
Right.
And like ever since like when we did the Portal, it was like everybody was connected. There was no that lag time or like
That's
I ran into
right.
you a month ago.
Yeah,
It
they
was
were
like-
like
it was
bands
way
that-
more closer and like people were just
More appreciative.
yeah, oh yeah,
Because we were supposed to be banned from
Every-
living.
yeah. Right, everything.
And screw that
can't
shit.
breathe.
You know.
And when you guys came to Reno in 2019, I mean, you literally just came right before
Right
all this
into
shit
the
went
shit.
down.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
right into
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
that
think,
had to have been pretty discouraging.
I think, the
Lot of
tribute to
cancels.
Neil Peart was the last metal concert.
Yeah. I
think
where
so.
everything
The
shut down.
Neil
Shut
Peart-
down the next
Yep,
day.
I remember
was
that.
our-
I
that
broke
was
my
a-
pedal.
that
Yeah.
was the
You
Saturday.
broke your
I
pedal.
broke my pedal.
Yeah,
What else is new?
Right,
Ron?
yeah, I know.
Because that was March 14th, 2020. That was literally, we played the Friday before with the Flesh Hammers
Yep.
and Icky Crane for
Right.
our
Yeah.
first show for back then it was Cold Blood before we
Cold Blood.
turned
Cold
into
Blood.
Lethal
Right.
Inception.
Yeah.
But that was our first show playing live before everything shut down, and
Yeah.
then we did the Saturday
Well,
with
we
the
did
Neil
the-
Peart,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the tribute show.
Yep.
And everybody did a cover
And
of
the
Rush.
week before that, we had our Black Flag show. at
Right,
BSB.
right.
Yep.
And little did we know, a week later it was everything.
All- yeah.
You know,
Shut
then
down.
the last metal show. But I mean, it was packed for Neil Peart show. That was packed.
Oh yeah, dude. Tom
Love
Gordon
that.
was
Props
there
to the
too.
But
musicians
everybody
that
was
can
there.
everybody was
emulate
scared.
it.
Yeah.
Like people were coming in from California.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, you know, what should we do?
They should
Everybody
be.
knew
Do
something
what you
was
want.
coming.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
want to
No,
do? Do
I-
what you
no,
want.
I
Be
wasn't,
scared,
but-
Californians don't come.
I mean, you know, I mean,
Don't.
I wasn't, but there were people there that were like a little nervous.
Yeah.
I sensed a different mood, although it was packed. I sensed that something was coming. Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, that
and
angst.
that, you know, they knew
Because you're
something was
supposed to
coming.
run in fear.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah,
Those are
That
those
fear
are
of propaganda.
Those are the toilet paper years.
Yep.
So-
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
right.
toilet paper years.
Oh, I miss those.
God help us, Jesus.
Dude, Scott went on a whole mission. Like, do I have
Yeah.
a bidet? I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I got the bidet 6,000.
Yeah.
Right
What
now.
did Mark Twain do? Didn't he? He
Right.
come from Nevada. I
Yeah.
mean, what did our Wild West
Ooh,
Battleborn
that's a
people
good
do? They
question.
didn't
That is a
give
good
a rat's
question.
ass how to
It's not
wipe
like we have
their
banana
ass.
leaves hanging around.
Yeah, no
Yes.
shit.
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
had to use this
Weren't you
pine
a
cone.
Boy Scout, Girl Scout? So you learn how to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a weird time. I mean, we were rolling down for like a month or two, and then the portal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
We had
to do
envisioned
something.
Well, we did a
strolling
couple
guitar
lives.
players down the street. Music will
Yeah.
live on.
Yeah.
Well, we were just
Take it to
starting.
the
Cold
street.
Blood just started right when it ended up.
Oh, is
getting
that
into
right?
Yeah.
We started because we started like legitimately practicing writing and all that in January. So because
Yeah.
it was December that I met with you guys, and that's when everything kind of took off.
Right.
So January we started writing, started getting everything down.
Yeah.
February we got a little more savvy with it. I mean, we were
quick.
practicing 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Just easy, just going full bore
Yep.
for
It
hours
was
a
on
day.
it. Yeah.
And then March was rolling around. We're like, hey, we got an opportunity, and that's when you guys put us on for the Cellar stage.
Yep.
And then that was our first gig.
Yeah, and then we did the right when the pandemic hit and they shut everything down. We did those live feeds too.
Yeah, you read like a band that had been around for years.
Yeah, but it was just
so
like,
damn good.
and we've been here for like 3 months.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of it is when you start a band, you could either start from scratch, like a lot of these bigger names from the past, especially like you take Metallica, who were a bunch of kids out of high school playing in the
Right.
garage,
Yep.
and ended up making Kill 'Em All, and like that's still. I mean, they played together for years, and they knew each other very well and intimately, right? And the other side of it too is like you could also put together musicians that have had that experience. And I
Yeah.
think that was the big thing with us is we had Scott, we had Mark, we had Robert, and we had Jim that, we all had our years of experience of playing music, and it was like building the team,
Right,
trying to
right.
build that
Yeah.
all-star team of everything that we wanted for this band. And it just came together. And I was stoked to see just how fast we all clicked to be
Yeah,
able
it
to
was
go out
brilliant.
2.5
It
months
was.
later.
I
It
mean,
was
when I
quick,
seen
yeah.
you for the first time, it looked like you were together for years.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, we had
I
that
was like,
connection.
man,
We had
I
that
was-
That
chemistry.
connection was there, and I think you need
Yeah.
that anytime you're in a band. You need
Absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause you had the right members.
that. Yep.
You had the right
Exactly.
ones. You had the ones that were going to
Yep.
go to distance as Lethal Inception.
Yeah, everything was in place. It took off great.
And I can't wait for you guys to actually do the album.
Yeah.
You remember before I was pushing you like crazy.
Yeah.
Get the stuff. Get
Yeah,
it now.
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a nagging woman,
I
aren't
can't
you?
wait till it's actually done and I can hear a full album of that amazing music.
If it's meant to be, it'll happen. It'll
It's meant to
work
be.
out.
Of course it is. It's meant to be.
So, with you were talking about, this festival of bringing on these bands and doing this big thing. Is that still in the works? Are you guys
the
working on
industry
it now?
showcase, the
Yep.
18th one should be the 21st one or the 20th one.
Right. The
But,
official 20th one.
I missed 2 years, but yeah, I mean, if we can get the right bands from around the country, which I can easily get, I already know some, and at least 10 Reno bands that are in the hard rock metal genre that actually blow our mind.
Yeah.
And have new music out, and I feel that they're a prolific band and can write every year.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to put them on it. I fully
Yeah.
intend to do it.
Nice.
And it doesn't
Not
matter.
just metal. We could do industrial too.
Oh, no, but it will be. It'll
like,
be.
let's venture.
It's all every year at the showcase. It was always all genres. We would actually start out with like an acoustic act, for the very first one,
Yeah,
and work our
that's
way
right.
up until where it'll swing like a pendulum,
your
just get
ears
heavier and heavier and heavier,
Right?
heavier and
Your
heavier.
ears don't
That
wanna
way,
come up.
the labels that don't want to hear the real heavy stuff can leave midway.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there the whole time, they can leave midway. See, because after every 3 acts play, we have a roundtable discussion with the industry. And they give their opinion, and people film it. And they use it on their Facebook page. This is what
right.
Century Media said about us.
Yeah.
You know, so we have a discussion, and they would pick their favorites, and they would talk to them and get with them.
You got to be careful, though.
Maybe through PR deals, or maybe, get them on something for their label.
Right.
But they do that, and then the metal labels might come in a little later.
and
wait
then pick
for,
'em
because
up.
it was always, it changes over to extreme stuff halfway through, and that's the way it went. But here I wanted to do it different. Because I always wanted to change things up.
Well, the
I wanted to
industry's
do
has
an
changed,
all. I
too.
wanted
Yeah,
to do an all
sure.
hard rock metal.
Right.
Not really no acoustic stuff or nothing.
right.
Because not much of the acoustic stuff that we did really got signed.
Really?
Or like the mellower kind of stuff.
It's kind of hard to do that.
I mean,
That's like
yeah.
American Idol.
They
like
could-
one person
yeah,
gets picked
and-
up.
and
They could
Yeah.
find their own avenue
and
in
we
which
didn't-
to sell their
yeah.
music for
And
soap
we didn't want
operas
anything to do
or
with
Right,
American
yeah,
Idol.
yeah.
Even the Sony showcases, we didn't have acoustic.
No.
You know what I mean? The 2 I did for them. So I just wanted to do things
But
different.
wait, I got to tell you one thing. Jay exhausts himself by old school way, sending emails with all the instructions, what to expect,
Yeah.
what to
being
bring, what time, etc. All the details. He reminds the bands every single week.
Yeah.
Then only once it happened where he doesn't know what I'm gonna say, so he's freaking out.
Come
Oh
on.
no!
Where are you
what's
going?
she- She's gonna blow.
Exclusive?
Right? Yeah.
No, we had one band in Florida that, the lead singer, he was so nervous and he drank and drank and drank. So they did their set and they were great. And he misinterpreted the constructive comment as an insult. And he jumped off the stage to go after the label guy. And
No kidding.
they pushed him right out the door, right out the front door.
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to say
Your
names.
kickstart.
I almost didn't name band, but they were a great band.
Yeah.
But Singer got a little
Just
wasted,
misinterpreted.
and he misinterpreted what.
And went ballistic, and he got thrown out.
Because I mean, you gotta have a thick skin because not everyone's going to love you.
Yeah, 100%.
And some of them might be
hard.
really
Oh, yeah.
outspoken. Like I am. I might not seem like I am, but when I talk one-on-one to people like you guys know,
We've talked.
I'm a
for
little
hours.
outspoken.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll just tell it how
Yeah.
it is. And a lot of the labels and PR are like that. They're going to work with you.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
But they're gonna let you know how they feel.
They will
right.
say, well, I like this. I didn't like that. Or, I liked what you did, or I didn't like what the bass. Sometimes they would do that, or some would just say, it's very good, little constructive criticism maybe on some song. You get tips from the pros.
You need that, though.
The pros,
Yeah.
so you get
Then he'll
tips.
email all the comments, too.
And some bands, like, if, the labels would be in agreement. That was incredible. And a lot of them will say, come and see us. And that's how
Those are the ones that
made.
stick out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's the real way deals are made. Even when A&R go into venues, like when I was with Sony and stuff, we would go into venues to check stuff
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You know,
We used to
that's
do that.
how you find it. I mean, there wasn't no internet or TikTok to make you a sensation.
That's
You had to
because our
actually go
interns would go
and
out and
see the
scout
music.
for us,
Yeah.
but they'd
Oh, yeah,
be
'cause you guys had a
scouting
whole
women
team,
instead
though.
of
You had a
bands.
whole group.
You guys
They
had a
would
whole
scout
team.
women
Yeah.
instead of bands, so we had to go out ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
It didn't work.
that's how it was done. And I know TikTok and everything is making a lot of people extremely wealthy by doing that. But I still believe, and so do all the record labels, that the way that it's done, the natural progression is for somebody like A&R or PR to see your band and say, hey, why don't you come work with us?
Yeah.
I think,
That's the way it's always been
longevity.
since the dawn of time.
Not for
Yeah.
flash in the pan
You know,
career.
And that's the way it works.
Yeah,
I think it
because
should
it's-
be that way. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Should
it's
be.
not always
Should be.
about how you sound on record, because
No.
you could go out there and you could use all the tools available to make you sound amazing.
Yeah.
But then
Correct.
again, and we've talked about this before, about when you go out and you play live, if you can't show that you're a true musician, you're a performer
Yeah.
that's entertaining for people to watch and listen to.
That's right.
You're not going to go anywhere.
That's right.
You
You have
know
to
it.
be
You
able
need
to
to have
reproduce
that.
that
Don't you
album.
want to
You have to
entertain?
reproduce it
Unveil
on
the
stage.
Strength did that last week. They sounded phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Live.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
were
And then
great.
you have to plan for accidents. Like one of our bands dropped something when they were unloading and a wire got loose.
Right.
And they kept thinking it was a house equipment, and it's you got to just keep
Well,
playing.
that
I
happened.
guess, right?
That happened at the show. The power cut.
Oh, it did.
Power cut from the front of the house.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but they kept going.
That's
Because
all
their
you
in-ears
can do.
didn't cut.
Their in-ears were still going,
It didn't
yeah.
drop a fucking beat.
Thank God.
It kept, like, Doug got it back running, and everything was smooth. But they didn't even lose the song. They just kept
Everybody
going.
else is kind of like,
Everybody else is
Well,
like,
what happened?
just screaming. Just,
Well, what
and,
happened?
like,
It blew a fuse? Or?
I don't know. Something happened where the front of
Wasn't
the house
me.
went down.
Yeah.
One time at State Theater, I forget what show it was. I went
a
to
big show.
unplug my phone, and whoops, I unplugged the whole concert.
You're, like,
Front of house.
you're over there on the side. Hey, that was me. Sorry. Keep going. You guys are doing great. Fantastic. Keep going. You guys sound amazing.
Or the other time we were out
My
at
phone's charged now.
Right? Yeah.
yeah,
my phone's good. We got full battery now.
You get the Apple startup sound.
Quaker Steak and Lube, where the sound engineer got so blasted, wasted, he didn't have the sound on for the band. The bands kept playing. They were like miming
I mean,
everything.
well, everybody's seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, every
Oh yeah,
musician
we've all had those
had those where they,
issues
you know,
where it's like, oh, the whole.
Yeah.
But the
song
phone
off.
is charged.
Yeah.
Not that
Right.
I'm gonna get any messages.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's the hard knock life of actual life. You know,
you know
shit's
it.
gonna happen. It's how
Yes.
you roll with the
You roll
punches.
with it.
It's how you adapt, and that's what
Like the
makes
stray
you know,
dog that
And you know, and up and
you?
upcoming
She just needs her
musicians
fame.
should not
Band fan.
should not be
She
you know,
likes you.
Like discouraged. Or,
yeah,
No, yeah.
or you know, just like thinking everything's going to go perfect.
It's all over.
I mean,
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, you know, oh, if something doesn't work, you know, oh, this has to work my in here. You know,
Right.
you're going to be on some stages in your life where there won't even be monitors.
No, yeah.
You won't
You
hear,
have to adapt.
You won't hear
No.
nothing.
Yeah.
I toured for 20 years.
I
I played
know.
on every crappy
I hear
fucking
that a
stage
lot.
Oh, it's-
in this
yeah.
country.
Couldn't hear myself.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you can't expect to be even one of my last tours was with an industrial band.
Yeah.
Where it was all electronics.
Right,
and
yeah,
shit,
your power
where
goes
I
off
mixed
on that.
in
You're
guitar
like,
with a sampling station
Don't
and
hit
the
the
band.
dog, you're gonna hit that
and,
dog.
and I you know, I wasn't expecting to
what
have
she
the
gets.
greatest front of house in all these crappy venues.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you
So-
have to have that, like, especially as a drummer, because the
Yeah.
drummer, you can't move. Like, if
Yeah,
a guitar
that's
player
right.
can't hear
That's
himself, he could just move in a certain spot.
That's
right here.
true.
So,
Yeah.
That's
drummer
What do you
is
do?
That's right.
stuck.
But you just have to know your part.
You have to know your parts.
You have to know your,
yeah, you have to know your
plow
parts.
through because there will be that rare instance where you're going to get on
Wow.
a crappy
That's
stage
the
Yeah.
with a
professionalism.
bad sound guy that can't work it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and
That's where the professionalism comes into
that's
play.
where it comes in, man.
That's
Just
amazing.
just
It's
plow
more
right
it's
through
more
it.
constant though, like on the bottom end. Like you're not
Yeah.
doing that. Like you're not running into that issue like at Lawler or anything.
No,
where you got,
the
like,
bigger venues where they
the
have
bigger
the,
venues
the
like
hired
full-ons,
crew.
yeah,
that-
the hired sound guys.
Yeah, you know
lighting
everything's going to run perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna
These
run
are the
great.
small little venues.
Yeah, the small venues. Yeah,
Yes,
or like I'm gonna
yeah.
go play at this
High
coffee
school
shop.
kids.
Yeah, we got
Goddamn
George in the
well
back.
co-
He does dishes, but he also runs the soundboard. He'll
Right,
get you
because he
up.
could turn on a
Exactly.
radio.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
I have my boombox for a monitor.
Up, George,
Yeah.
get the plane.
I mean, you know,
Hold up, I'm getting this grilled cheese ready.
when you're on tour, you never know what you're going to run into.
Right.
What you're going to
No,
roll
you
up on.
don't.
Some of the best stuff though.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I get a kick out
Or
of
the
that shit.
artists and some artists and their attitudes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh,
some
man.
of
Oh yeah, I
them,
mean, you
some.
know, that's
Machine
what
Gun
I'm-
Kelly.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Oh.
don't don't get all frustrated
Hard
with
pass.
a sound guy with a non-existent PA.
No, I never get. I
don't
always
get-
think the sound.
yeah.
You always got to make friends with the sound guy. I always.
We used to
I'm
have local
thankful
bands
for the
tip the sound guy
Yeah.
$20.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, tipping's
If
the
they
best.
could, yeah.
You know, that's for sure.
Yeah. Because if you get a
Oh,
good
yeah,
sound guy in
one
there.
Sound guy. He's,
I used to do that
I,
in my
I don't
band,
like this
in a lot of
band. I'm
bands.
just gonna.
Oh yeah.
We used to
not
tip
do it.
sound guy all the time with
Really?
my bands. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That didn't pick up here yet.
But
No.
you know, it's their job
and there- well,
to do
there's
the
some
best they
that-
can.
There's
Yeah.
some like Doug over at at the VSB. That
Yeah.
dude, and I've
Doug's been around.
Doug's been around.
He needs
for
to
a while,
retire.
and
Sorry.
Doug's
I
been
remember
around for a
Doug
while.
doing
Should
sound
retire.
at Studio on 4th.
Yeah,
No,
he's been-
really?
he was
he's
there.
been around
He did
for a
Studio
while.
on
last
4th,
band,
yep.
Yep.
We've had sound guys like that. It's like, okay.
Well, you
Yeah.
need
you
to
find those
retire.
guys that are true geniuses at what they do because just sound in general, video or whatever you're doing, you have to have that knowledge of what you're doing. You really
Yeah.
need to understand the science behind it and how it boosts. Like if it wasn't for this guy right back here, Mike, I mean, we would sound like crap.
know
We
it.
would look like
Right.
crap. And it's guys like him
Yeah.
and guys like Doug and all these engineers that truly make a band, a performer, an artist look and
And
sound
sound good.
great.
Yeah, because that's their job.
that's
their
For
job.
their entire life.
And-
Yeah.
and
A
it's-
lot of
you know,
times, like I
but
say,
that's
the
what
guy
I'm
should
saying.
retire. But then the few experiences I've had with him, I think you have to work on the fly too.
Yes.
Something comes up, or the
Yes.
room's not full, so it's a different
Well, not
sound.
only that, but there's the
complicated.
people. There's not a lot of sound engineers here, and if they are, they're on tour.
They're all
And
bass
they're getting
players.
paid
They're all doing the
good
bigger
money. They're doing
spots
the
and-
bigger spots.
Oh.
Yeah.
So getting like venues like that to get sound guys who are decent in there is
Yeah,
is
I know.
rough.
I know 4
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that are really good, and I feel comfortable with them doing a giant show or a little show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Good. Yeah.
That's good. But yeah,
I mean, Will from Metal on
I know
the Moon.
Will.
mean,
Yeah.
Will's
Great.
he's
So-
incredible.
He is
He could do a
wonderful.
giant show.
He was FTR's first bass player when I got in there.
I
No
know.
kidding.
I know. I
Yeah,
heard it.
we did
Yeah.
that whole live video with that's Will playing.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
it's
great.
cool.
I mean,
He did a great
the Metal on the
job.
Moon, everybody was saying, "Wow, that sound guy did everything so quick."
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
did changeovers real quick,
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes.
He's a-
I mean, that's what
the
I'm
dude's a
used to.
professional. Yeah,
I'm
the
used
guy's
to
amazing.
15 minutes changeover.
Yeah.
When I got here is when I seen everything was kind of relaxed and they didn't
Yeah.
care about that.
Yeah.
But a
Oh, they-
national show, they care about it.
Damn.
They
Yeah.
care about it on a national
better.
show.
Well, yeah, and they do here too, and it's especially like when you're running like VSB, and like that shit's
yeah.
on
Yeah.
the fucking time. I
You
remember
gotta be on
being
the
on the
time.
side of the stage and the sound guys doing this.
You gotta be.
Yep.
You
Cut the
have
sound.
to be. Yes.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you a signal.
Yeah, there's a signal. If
Yeah.
you're not done with your
You
set,
know,
you're
yeah.
done with your set.
I mean, if not, the tour manager is going to come up and pull out your.
Yeah, they
and
just
I
unplug
think
you
they'll
right in the
play
middle.
it. We've seen
But is
some.
I
it
haven't seen
true,
that yet,
Robert,
though.
that
I've
drummers?
seen a few at State Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And I've actually gotten fights with somebody
Yeah.
in my early years because I didn't quite want to see that in
Right.
the show.
Yeah.
It got me in some fight. But then I realized, that's what's going to happen. Whatever on the contract, they go right by it.
Yeah.
And then when the national act comes on or their tour package,
Yeah.
it will say tour package starts at 9:30,
Yep.
and you better give them the stage at 9:30.
That's it.
Right? Yeah.
And then the
Oh, yeah,
venue,
you've seen it.
their stage manager gets to go
Yeah.
home for the night.
But the hardest part is when you go in there, all right, and they say like, "Oh, it's 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock," and then they're doing 3-hour sound checks for the
know.
main band.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get a sound check, right? So you're just running.
Yeah.
And everything's
Yeah.
like do 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 do, and they're still cutting you. I'm like, what about that fucking?
Some
3
are
hours you
so
took for sound check?
meticulous.
Yeah, see,
They're
that-
so
Robert,
meticulous.
that's not good. That would never happen
Yeah.
in one of my shows back in Florida.
I've never seen it here.
I mean, or here. Never,
Yeah.
never, ever would that happen. I would follow the specs on the contract,
Right.
to the letter, how it is. You know what I mean? And it says on the contract.
I think the sound check is the sound check. in
It'll
the
say
contract?
it'll say sound check 2 p.m. and it'll say load in 1 p.m.
Right.
Sound check directly following.
Yeah.
And after a while you knew the bands that would take long sound checks, like Jackal. They take like a
my
3-hour
God.
sound check. 4 hours. 4 hours. I mean, no, I love those guys to death.
Right.
Booked them a million times. But
yeah.
I played with them a couple months ago.
Have you?
but
Yeah.
you open for them, but they will take up so much time. So you have to book your show accordingly, knowing that they will take so much time, and you still got to get the first local band up to do a sound check.
right.
No matter what, there has to be time. So
Dawkins was the longest.
Dawkins? Oh, we booked him a million
Yeah.
times. I didn't have a
That's
problem
sound
with.
check.
I didn't
That's
have a
sound
problem with a long sound check. Maybe an hour. It was 2, maybe.
Well, it's probably because he had there was a German guy out there. He might have the communication might have been
Language
low.
barrier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
it
think
could
that's
be.
his tech.
But I mean, there's a few times where the sound check went really long, and I would have to go up and say, "Hey guys, we have to get a local band. I'd be on stage at,
Most
at this
That's hard to
time."
do.
And
Dude, that's hard to do. And most
understand.
Yeah.
Except for that one chick performer I won't mention who's hated
yeah, we're not gonna mention.
immensely.
Yeah.
We're not gonna. And I did have some fights with some tour managers.
You ever get into some fist fights? Did you
Yes,
ever pull
yeah.
a Will Smith?
Kind of. Yeah.
did.
Well, one time we actually had some dude actually arrested and taken to jail.
Really?
No kidding.
Because he came in screaming and yelling. I'm not going to say what band it is, but
Yeah.
I just don't
They're
want to.
from LA.
But,
Yeah,
he came in screaming and yelling, saying how much he hated local bands and shit. And you do not say that in my venue.
right.
That you hate, because local bands
the
are
locals,
what's
you
helping
You
to
were
pay
a
your-
local band at one
and
point,
it's also,
asshole.
and it's
Yeah.
also helping to pay your
No,
bill.
he came out of the
asshole.
womb on the stage.
And you know what I mean? And he
Born a
and,
rock.
he was going crazy on the stage, so I had to go up and say something to him.
should have
and,
Gallaghered
and the
him.
local
You
bands,
should have Gallaghered.
and the local bands were there, and they all heard it. The
Yeah.
dude took a swipe at me, and we got at it. And then we got at it. So So what happened was.
Get the ring set
So what
up.
happened was
Let's go.
the agency.
the oil.
The agency fired him. He was fired, and he was taken to jail.
No kidding.
Wow,
And he
that's
was
crazy.
kicked off the tour. See, he was a real young guy, real rough young,
Ego
like his first
fucking,
time
his head
out,
was built
19
like-
years old, not
Yeah.
really knowing what a tour man, a young guy wanted to throw his weight around, probably wanted to
you
hit
should've
somebody.
spanked him.
And you just
Spanked him.
you just met the wrong match when you come up against a Jersey guy like me. I've had my ass beat a million times. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll
get back
go
up.
down swinging.
I'm from Jersey.
You know what I mean? So
Jersey.
you don't come in with the rough guy attitude,
Yeah.
saying all this bullshit, condemning I hate local bands. First
Especially in
of all,
that scenario,
you're
you
saying
don't-
it right in front of the
Yeah,
bands
don't do that. Yeah.
that are there. So you're looking for a fight.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And he wasn't the only one. There's been.
I would say,
there's
what are
been-
you, intimidated?
There's been
Right,
others
yeah.
that
You're
I
gonna find
had. I
them.
had problems with some tour managers that were overzealous, young, green, not
It's always
knowing
the
the
tour
business.
managers too. It's never
You know?
the band.
No,
the
it's
band's
never
like
the band.
whatever, like cool.
The
And the
band
tour
doesn't
managers
really-
are like,
the bands
The
are
band
clueless.
doesn't really
Wow.
know what's going
I'm
on.
also
They're
key
on-
grip.
They're on the bus. They come out for sound check when they're told to.
Yeah.
The tour manager could come in and say any bullshit he wants.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as long as you have the contract right there, and a little tip is for all the promoters of that, they'll probably know. But everything on the contract, if a tour manager comes in and tries to deviate from that, all you got to do is say to fix everything is, oh, let me call the agent. And they're like, they turn into like the big bulldog into like this little.
Yeah, because it's.
They turn into that. and
go.
Oh, they go,
Sweetheart.
okay, we must have had our.
I wish they were all like that.
They must. So do I. We must have had our information wrong.
Right.
Like, yeah, you had your information wrong, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, you're like,
This
I'm
the
gonna
way-
call him. I'm
this
gonna
the way
write a
it goes.
strongly worded email to
Yeah,
your
because
boss.
I'm gonna write a letter.
The most famous thing is let's cut the local band's time.
yes.
I swear I've been on that bill for
or
a
let's
couple
cut
times.
a local band's time.
Yeah.
Well, it's right here.
Especially
on the
when you
contract.
had to sell tickets.
It's right here on
Yep,
the
no
contract.
That's like, yeah.
It's right here on the contract.
Yeah.
The local bands get this. They don't get any less than 30 minutes.
I think that should be public knowledge, though. I think.
Well, I
if
just
you're
made
play-
it public knowledge
Well,
on
if
your show.
you're playing a
but-
show that's contracted, most of the bands don't know about the fucking contract for one.
Well,
Yeah,
they
if
should
there is
question
one.
it from the promoter.
I think they should. Yeah,
They should
100%.
question it, and you should say, "Hey, you cut me a song. We only played 20 minutes. It's you said we were supposed to play 30 minutes. I just sold 50 tickets
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The least respect you can give me is
that-
what's on
is
on
what's
the fucking
contracted
contract.
in the contract. Yeah.
You know, and that's the way I've always done things, and that's how
oh,
I've
you're
always,
making me. My
and-
gears are fucking turning. Now.
and that's
You know what
how
grinds my gears?
and that's how we've got to be fair people in this business,
Right.
Because I go everything
and it's respect. That's
everything
why we
for the
respect
local
you guys
bands.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
I love the national acts. I love my heroes and shit.
Right.
But the local bands are who I really have the heart
Yes.
for.
Right. Yeah,
Because they're
That's
up
right.
and comers. They're creating new shit. They're
Yep.
coming out. They're busting their ass to do this
Right.
for this national show.
Yeah.
And
Driving
that-
a piece of shit van.
That's
to
who
the
I will
venue.
always
Yeah.
protect. I will always protect them.
And
at
as a
show.
local band too, it's reciprocated because if it wasn't for the promoter putting us on this show, we wouldn't have that opportunity to
Right.
play for strangers, to grow that name or our
Yeah, and
sound
but
to
some
everybody.
promoters take advantage of
And
that.
that's true.
yeah.
And that's
They
why
know that's
careful.
your mindset.
absolutely. And that's the thing.
So just make sure everybody has a mutual understanding
Right.
that we're going to play for a half hour,
Yeah.
and we're going to sell this amount of tickets for
right.
you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
that's why we respect so much, people like you two, because you really
100%.
do keep it 100%.
Yep.
You guys care about the people that are a part of this thing, because
do.
we're
just
all
wish
in it
they
We
were
want
all
together.
like
everyone
you
to
guys.
succeed, even the other promoters. Come on, man.
And
We're
the
all-
people that come to see
let's
the
just-
show too, right? Because
Yeah.
it's about everyone.
It
That's
really is.
right.
It's all about having a good time. Let's all get together and have some fun.
It really
That's
is.
the
And,
bottom line.
That's it. Yeah.
if everything is just done the way it should be, everybody will have a great time.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's
Well, that was the
always
other
done.
thing, like in Florida, too. Suddenly there's 300 green promoters. Oh, you're the 45-year-old grandma whose kids are grown. You can go out of the house now. So you're going to manage a band.
Right.
You're going to promote.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have insurance for their
Yeah.
little van?
Yeah.
Are you a lawyer,
Or-
too? A
Right.
doctor
Yeah,
in
or
case
do you
they
have
get
one in your
sick?
pocket?
Well,
Or
they're
what?
shifty promoters and steal money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, those were the ones, I'm not a vindictive person, but when all these promoters came out of the woodwork in Florida,
We
a
said
lot of them
enough.
were shifty snakes.
Yeah.
And I had
Assholes.
a goal to get rid of those type of people. You know what I mean? And we did.
That's a
We
hard
wiped
battle,
them
though.
out.
That's a fucking hard
we
battle,
were
though.
we were in good with all the good promoters, the legends who have been around. People like us, people that knew the business.
Union.
We all worked in unison.
Yeah.
We all
Yes.
worked together. But lots of them started coming out thinking, oh, they could do this and that. And some of them were really shifty crap bags, and we got rid of them.
Yeah, that's good.
We not only that, a lot of the bands were involved too, because the way they but
Some didn't
Well,
listen,
would
but
see
they
it. I
learned.
mean, after the first show, they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is
everybody could see it,
Right.
but a lot of that gets weaned out, and I think promoters and stuff nowadays they know the business, or they know how to act. Nobody's going to come out to rip anybody off these days, but
Yeah.
you still see some.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah,
some.
it's still out there.
They're still out there. You'll still see.
I still haven't made a buck.
And a lot of the young people that think they want to get into the business to do something like that,
Yeah.
they have to read up on how to actually do it, or talk to
Wait,
people.
you
that
said
know
young
how.
people want to get into any
The
business. That would be
of,
surprising
the
to me.
business of being a promoter or putting on a show. Don't put on a show unless you know how to do it going in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't say, "Oh, I'm going to learn."
We've
because
had
you're gonna piss
interns.
people
Yeah,
off.
we've had people tag.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of interns. Yes, of course that.
And they couldn't stay up as
but
late
they
as
had-
we
I
could.
mean, to be on the opposite, the devil's advocate
got
here, like being
tired.
on the other side of that, starting out and something like that too, you don't know it. So I think it's like
Yeah.
being, somebody who's guiding them, or at least get some advice. They
Right.
should get some advice.
And after
Yeah,
like
yeah.
three
Well,
times, they'll say, "I can do this myself, and I'll make
that's
money."
where the
and
ego
they
starts
can't.
coming. They
Yeah.
have one good show, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, well, now my head's
Their
fucked.
head
Yeah.
explodes.
But I mean, but you
Shacks.
guys know,
Right.
because just being performers, like I wasn't, booking or anything like that when I started out in '79 and all through the '80s touring.
You
and
didn't
shit.
know.
I learned how it was done
Yeah.
from being on the stage
Being there,
playing.
yeah, you were there.
I learned from promoters, and I knew what was the right way.
Yeah.
And eventually got management, and I learned that end of the business and performing.
Yeah.
So I was ready to actually get into it because I.
Yeah, you had a
started
leg up.
booking shows.
Yeah,
in-
you started
in the
early. You had that
80s
leg
and
up.
90s. I would say, hey, we'll put shows together and
Our
stuff.
metal shows,
But-
he'd get mad when we attend the award shows. I'd go up to Dolly Parton, get an interview with her, or Neil Diamond, sit with Neil
Yeah.
Diamond at the
Yeah,
table
like she'd
before
get
his
wasted interviews because I would never want to.
Well, I'll talk to anybody.
know,
I
yeah.
don't care.
I-
Wherever
right.
I am, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to
yeah.
you.
And we
I don't
we
care.
kind of had an image to uphold, but yeah, I understand. Like we were at one where we sat at a table with Neil Diamond and Stevie Wonder,
Right.
And they were all there, and we were there at a table, all eating and stuff. And
So
we-
it's still about the
we did
music. It's
interview
not
Garth
just about the
Brooks and
metal.
Saoirse Yearwood, he was there.
Yeah,
at the
she
table.
liked you. boy.
So did you guys just do it there, or did you just have?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
right
we
there.
did
Oh,
it
right
there
there.
because we were media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you just would you just bring a recorder?
I go
with
to
you?
the tables where you see them all sitting there all
Yeah,
singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they,
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, we
And
didn't,
I'm drinking my Cavassier.
Yeah.
we didn't have
And I just
phones.
go up to them because
Yeah.
I
We didn't
got.
have
I didn't want to
phones.
sit.
I'm up for an
in-
Right.
award.
We had
Just a little
little
recorder.
little
that-
cassette
Yeah, you
recorders.
just record. I have one of those still.
Yeah,
actually,
they
yeah.
were great.
Yeah,
Old
they were
school,
great.
baby.
Sounded amazing.
You just go up and
All of our interviews from the early
if
years
you're
were
not
from
friendly,
there.
okay. hey, fuck you.
Right.
Are
I'm sure you got
good?
those too. I was like, get the
Yeah.
fuck out. I'm trying
Oh, Billy Joel.
Billy
Oh,
Joel.
oh, yeah. I mean,
That's right. I
But
don't
then
like
we
him
had
anyway.
lunch with Brian McKnight. Took us to lunch. He was so you never
Oh,
know.
that's cool.
It's about
Wow.
connecting.
that was with
Dolly,
Sony.
she
That
was
with
just
Sony.
beyond brilliant.
Yeah.
Brian McKnight, yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
awesome when you have a name to back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm with
It's-
Sony, people were like, all right, cool.
They had us sitting in
Oh,
the
yeah,
press
Sony,
area,
yeah.
and not one press person was going out. I'm there. Are we not supposed to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're not really. Okay, well, I'm going.
We're like, hey,
Okay.
guess what? That's an open opportunity.
Yeah, right.
Now
Thanks.
he's on
Let
it.
me see how far I can get.
Right?
Yeah, because I would be like, oh, fuck that.
yeah.
I'm
She
going
goes.
in.
Yeah.
Why am I here? I'm
Smoke
in.
a good
Yeah, yeah,
joint.
yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Brian, hey, you gonna eat that? Yeah, all right, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You gonna eat that crab cake?
I want to charge my cell phone. Where is it?
You gonna finish that champagne? I could use some more. I'm out.
Do an interview.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit in the media
Well, I
section.
tell you, Dolly
I'm gonna
Parton
sit
stood
at the
right
table.
up
Yeah.
and chat.
No
This is
kidding.
not my husband, but she'd make a joke. And
Yeah.
it was all cool about the music. Like, if we had a bad interview, somebody not going so right, Jay would pull out some obscure fact about the person and lay it in. And then
Oh, yeah, like
yeah?
Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver. The Dreamweaver.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Gary
that's
Wright.
it, Dreamweaver.
I always think
Yeah.
of Wayne's
I mean,
World every
Gary
time.
Wright.
See, back those days, I was a little more radical. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Right.
So I still was total New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, so I would just like, if something wasn't
He didn't
going
want
right,
to do the interview.
I would
it was
spark,
a
'cause,
favor.
you know, he was in a band called Spooky Tooth, right?
Ah.
In the
Okay.
70s, and it was like
That was
this
good.
total like
That's
kind
good.
of devil worshipping thing. They did
Yeah.
something called like the Black Mass,
Uh-huh.
and he was denying it on the air, but I had the album.
You're
like, hey, let's go back to this.
Like, you know,
Is
this
they
your
would be like nailing the cross with spikes, and he denied everything. And I said, "Well, it's funny. I have the album right here, and I'm reading it." You know, because no, he did acknowledge he was in
He did?
Spooky
Yeah.
Tooth.
So
It
did.
softened
Yeah.
him though, because you knew about his
like,
career.
Yeah, he did. He did acknowledge he was in.
You
Spooky
know
Tooth.
too much.
But he
Yeah,
said
you know
he
too
didn't
much.
do the album, and he did do it because
Yeah.
you know I bought it, and I was a Sabbath head back
Right,
then.
right, right.
So I back in those days, you know, you had to buy vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, so
I wish it was back
I would
like
just
that.
go in
I
like the
fucking-
record store and just look for like the coolest
Yeah.
album cover.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the bands were half the time.
Right,
Right.
You know
right.
that's how I discovered Anvil and all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and and I've seen Spooky Tooth. I've seen like this Jesus on the cross with like fangs and like
Yeah.
shit. I'm like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. And you put it on, it was like all this noise and chanting.
And then he did
shit.
Dreamweaver.
Right.
Then Dreamweaver came out a few years ago after he left Spooky
Wow.
Tooth. You know, but we sparred over that album because that was a favorite of mine because it was so weird.
Yeah.
It was like early Venom or
I
something.
know. I would have held
Okay.
on to that. I've been like, fuck
I
yeah.
would've.
It was like,
That's cool.
I lost
Glad
a
you
lot
liked
of those albums in my divorce, but it was like and you know I had an argument with him on the air, and
I love it.
Big
It's
deal.
Good heated debate.
you know,
good discussion.
you know, you're denying an album that I really liked when I was young,
Right.
Yeah.
And you know,
Own up to that.
but you think I was a giant fan of Dreamweaver,
Right.
I mean,
Does it look like I'm the guy who's fucking doing Dreamweaver right now?
David Cassidy, memories.
I
Wait
mean,
a minute.
yeah. It was a little Wayne's World, but I
Right.
mean, you know,
Even then.
but
But even then, like, yeah, that was I think it was more of a joke.
If
Yeah.
anything.
yeah,
Right,
it
right.
was, but you know, I thought it would be fun because the interview would be about Spooky Tooth and not about Gary Wright Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We would bring up Dreamweaver,
Sure.
but
Let's
my
pull that
whole
right here.
conversation,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about that satanic
Yeah.
Let's
Black
go to the
Mass
other-
album.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I kept pushing, and he kept going away from
Yeah.
it, and I kept pushing, so that made it kind of like the
Finally
Great Cat.
came around.
Like the Great Cat, I will play that for you sometime.
I
when
wanna
we're
hear it.
partying.
Yeah, I'd love
And
to hear
He
it.
was sweating.
It
He
was.
was-
Oh, yeah.
It was just a verbal
She
argument back
full-blown
and forth.
assault.
She
Yeah,
was
I know,
yelling
'cause
at me.
we gotta show
is
them.
it, Joe?
She was
We gotta
yelling
show
at me.
them.
I was yelling at her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were going back and forth. And
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
you were like, okay.
Oh,
No, I did. She said she was going to cut my dick off and shit like this. You know? And she was going to grab it and cut my dick off. And she was going to whip me into submission. You know, and I'm like,
we got along.
I'm like, okay, lady.
I loved her.
Okay,
I
you
know,
know,
it's
I
great.
understand, but you're fucking with my manhood here. lady.
Last thing, so cut your dick
off.
She was like, I will do, you know, all this shit, you know, but it's cool, and we became great friends after that because,
Yeah.
I mean, half of that shit she says is
Yeah,
an act, it's a
yeah.
spiel, it's part
Send
of
a
her
limo
image.
and I'll
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Connecticut to
She's
your
going to
state.
say that to any man. You know what I mean? Like when Patty
Right.
talked to her, oh God, she was
we were
lovey-dovey.
fine.
Oh, yeah?
We were sisters,
She was lovey-dovey,
Oh, my God,
but when it came to me, it was just total all-out war.
Yeah, like,
Clearly,
what are
Daddy,
you doing
that's
talking to
sucking
me, you peasant?
Yeah.
Exactly, you man.
Yeah.
But it was like that. But it was one that
funny.
stands out. Of
Yeah.
the hundreds and hundreds of interviews we've done.
But you know,
That
people
kinda
ought to
stands
come
out.
to Reno. If anybody out there is not from the Reno, Nevada area, you really should make a trip here because it's got
it's
something
great.
special, as testified by the dude from
Yes.
Sarasota.
Yeah.
When they came here, they were blown away.
Oh, they're making a video at the Clown Motel.
Oh,
really?
When
No,
they come
they go
down
down
in
there?
June, they're going down.
Oh,
to-
really?
They
Oh,
already
that's
have
awesome.
it booked. They're
That's
making a video
perfect.
they're
That's
looking.
perfect.
They're looking for a gig in Vegas.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They're looking for a gig in Vegas. You know, I'm like, yeah, I can maybe help. I know a couple
Did
people.
they hit so many ghost towns throughout this place? Though?
Oh, we love it, man. We love it. There's so much you can
amazing.
explore.
Rich
So
history.
much.
There's a history
It's
here.
just
like our friend
awesome.
Paul
As
Van
long as it's not
Velkenberg
downtown,
from the
it'll
Two
survive.
Freaks. He came to town last week on a
Yep.
ski trip from 12,000 high, Colorado.
He's a mountain climber.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, he's a mountain
Really?
climber.
I love
Phenomenal.
mountains.
Great vocalist, great bass player. And then they did Tahoe. And so they made sure to meet up with us and show us their new music. Hasn't come out yet, but just
phenomenal.
he just said,
Phenomenal.
as every novice new person to Nevada says, you drive for a few miles, you're bored to tears, and then this oasis.
Oh, yeah. If you go
They
anywhere
were-
east, you're
he
like,
was
oh,
so
my God.
taken back, not inclined, Kirkwood.
Oh, Kirkwood.
The area
Oh,
of
Kirkwood.
Kirkwood.
Yeah,
just,
so he was deep in there though. That's
he went down some
Went skiing there.
wall, I guess. But
oh,
just,
he needs to hit me up. You know, I go snowboarding all the time.
oh wow, definitely. I'll hook you
Mammoth,
two up.
Kirkwood.
Oh, well,
Yeah, Kirkwood.
Two Freaks will be coming
Yeah,
through here.
me and Chuck usually go up.
Chuck Rail?
Yeah,
He does that too?
He's a snowboarder as well. Yeah.
Go ahead, Chuck.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I
From
skied
the
before they put
ruins.
me on like the little kid thing.
the
And
bunny
little
hill.
on the
Forget
bunny
the
hill.
bunny slope. I'm in the ski
Snot
lodge.
about me while I'm going around all stoned.
I'm looking
They're, like,
for the
shooting,
pool. I like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
snow wet.
Put me in a tube. Give me a beer.
I guess I'm not that balanced.
All right. Yeah.
You know, I have a
I
little.
know.
Yeah.
I know. Forget
My
it.
equilibrium's all.
Yeah,
I'll
my
be in the
equilibrium's
ski
off a
lodge.
little bit.
You know, the skiers I know, they just, I don't need a lesson. They fall and break their tailbone.
Oh, yeah.
Fall.
That's
Best
the
way to
starting
learn.
of-
I did cross country, but those, even the little,
Yeah.
rather go in the pool.
I'm like,
But yeah, he was taken by Nevada, and so when the
Oh,
two
especially
freaks
with
come
skiing, yeah.
through,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys will play with them.
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Sign 8 will be able to play with the dude then. You're not, or.
I got
mean-
the text right here. We'll go through it. I
Yeah,
can't
oh yeah,
remember
we'll
what
definitely
it
go
is.
through it. Gotta have Sign 8 on the dude show.
Yeah, I think
Well,
we're.
I'd love to
we're
see
there.
Sign. I'd love to see Dimitri. Mon ami, oui, oui. See, I speak French. I'd love to see him with
Sign
his
8,
sword.
Sign
Yeah.
8 or Lethal. I don't care, either or.
We'll see.
Lethal would be a hard stretch.
Yeah,
We'll
we got to
try.
get the
We'd
guy
like
off
to,
his
but,
job. That's going to be
He's
tough.
doing big things for himself and for his family. So
Well, it says in a lot of contracts,
Well,
can't
that's
play
good.
metal if
Yeah.
you're...
But working one day for, have one day for the
Right.
band. Yes.
all right.
You know, if you just wouldn't have families or careers,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
just don't-
What are
don't-
they thinking, these people?
You want to have a career? Don't have kids.
I know, right? Gosh.
But we want to thank you guys so much for
Yes,
being on the
thank you guys.
podcast.
Oh,
It's
this
been
was
so
awesome.
much fun, Robert.
great.
I know.
Ryan, we love
We
you
could do
guys.
this for
I know,
days. But we wanted to give a huge shout out to all the people who chatted with us along
Yes.
the way. I mean, thank you guys for
Oh my God.
being a
Thank you guys
part
for
of
being with
this.
us.
Thanks for tuning in. You're going to have to catch us in our next episode next week. But we want to say a big thank you to Jay and Patty. Thank you
Yes,
guys
thank
so
you
much
guys.
for
Thank
being
you,
been a
on
and
pleasure.
here.
Mike, the sound
Mike,
engineer.
awesome.
It's been a
Yay.
pleasure, man.
But
I
yeah.
mean,
And the Chiweenie
it's good to
protecting
sit
us.
down and have a conversation. Like, we do
Absolutely.
this all the time at shows.
Yeah.
But it's great to just come
I
down and
love
just
it.
Just the BS. You
do it
know?
on
Yeah.
a killer podcast
Yeah.
like this.
This was
man.
fun.
was
Thank
fucking
you so
awesome.
much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, tune in next week. We'll be posting here pretty soon about our next podcast. When, where, and who. Tune in. If you haven't already, again, like, subscribe, follow. Hit us up on all those platforms. We're on it. Thank you guys. See you next time.
Fuck yeah.